All right, should I do the intro?
Yeah, if you're ready to go, we might as well start.
Okay, once more we are recording. This is the Delisted podcast. I'm Connor, and with me as always,
Augustine.
and
And Jessica.
and today we are discussing the adventure game from 1995, Phantasmagoria, by Roberta Williams from Sierra Online.
All right, so where should we start with with
Well, we
this
should give an
FMV? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
we should give an overview about what kind of a game it is, and it's an adventure game. It's a point and click adventure game, but like you said, instead of having pixel graphics or even like vector graphics. It's full motion video, and the character sprites are actual digitized people, like in Mortal Kombat.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, higher quality than Mortal Kombat because Mortal Kombat looks like garbage.
Well,
But
this doesn't exactly
yeah.
look the best.
No, it doesn't look the best either. But if we're comparing, this looks
Well,
better
yeah,
than Mortal Kombat.
it's. I was just saying to Jessica, um, why don't more modern games try and do this? Because I feel like with modern technology, it would look a lot better. There was like there was a fighting game called like Raging Justice or something that did it, but that's the last example I can think of, like from recent memory.
I can think of a couple. There's Late Shift, which is on a bunch of consoles and PC. There's The Bunker, which I think was made by the same developers. You've
The
got
same
stuff
developers as
like
Late Shift.
yeah, as Late Shift, and then you have stuff like The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, which came out about 3 years ago, I think.
So
And
do they look better than this one did?
yes, they look significantly better because they're in HD. There's also stuff like Her Story and Telling Lies,
Well, like
but mainly in those you're watching. Yeah.
it's not just a matter of HD. If this had had like the resolution of a SD television program, it would have probably looked better. This was beyond. This was not even. It was a substandard D. It was SSD.
Yeah, you can count the pixels on people,
Yeah,
basically.
it's like the digitized sprites from Donkey Kong Country or what Killer Instinct.
Probably worse than that, though,
Yeah,
all things considered.
Street Fighter the
Jets,
movie, the game. That's our reference point.
that's one of the lower points. Yes.
They got pop superstar Kylie Minogue to dress up as Cammy.
Jessica, what did you think of the FMV? Are you familiar with
Of
FMV titles,
Full motion video.
like in
full
general?
motion video. Um, no, I don't think so.
This is
I
my
feel like
first. Well, no, I played Connections and some of Myst when I was a kid. So other than that, this is my first FMV adventure game.
And this is probably the one with the most FMV since you're actually playing as a live person,
Well, when
I'm
you're not
assuming.
in a cutscene, I don't think it's FMV. I think it's just animation superimposed over a background like Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar about with that exactly. I just know that it definitely looks like the actress.
Yeah. Oh, I played Night
Not
Trap. That's
great,
another
but
FMV game I played.
Night
I
Trap is
couldn't. It's
terrible.
impossible. And honestly, the controls look very similar to this, except instead of the boxes being your items, they're like the different screens you're supposed to look at.
I'd say this is a lot better than Night Trap though.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that. But maybe we should sum up the story of this game. It's an adventure game. It's a point and click adventure game. Kind of shades of The Shining. A little bit of Amityville horror. Actually, a lot of Amityville horror. And you are a young author named Adrian, and she and her husband Don move into a creepy old house that they apparently got a really great deal on because it is a mansion, and it's got like a giant face on one wall, and it's got an actual magic show theater built into it, and a player piano, and all sorts of crazy crap in there. Um, but it's haunted, and Dawn becomes possessed by a demon, presumably the same demon that made the previous owner kill all of his 5 wives because he was kind of a Bluebeard type character. And now she has to figure out what's going on and save herself from her demon possessed husband.
Yeah, that's pretty much the
hashtag
plot.
spoilers.
Well, that's not really spoilers. That's the premise.
That's the premise of
If I skip
the
to
game.
the end, if I say what happens at the end, that's spoilers. But like otherwise, I'll just say it's a woman wandering around a
I,
house. Like there's no.
I I guess you could the
I just
alternate way to describe this is, Adrian and her husband move into a weirdo fucking mansion, and then he becomes increasingly abusive.
But we
I guess that's
see
the
like a
non
green
No, no,
ghost
I
enter
know,
him.
but I think that's, like, the non-spoiler version of
It's not a
describing the game.
secret in this
It's
game.
not a secret, it's, like, clear from the for chapter 1. And they're also, like, premonitions and weird nightmares. I mean, even before the demon
Mhm.
gets released, Adrian, has, like, a vision of, like, when she's, like, lays on a bed, a bunch of hands trying to drag her in.
Right, you were saying before,
Yeah.
does that mean that she just is having hallucinations in addition to the demon? Because the demon was sealed away.
I'm not sure. What do you think, Jessica? Do you think the house was already, like, there were already ghosts and shit before the demon got released?
Yeah, I think are we really gonna give, like, actual context lore to this? But
I mean, there
Well,
was
I
a
honestly,
mean,
like
500-page script written for this, I want you to know. Roberta Williams poured her heart and soul into this. She said it's the best example of her career, like, of her, video game making career.
which is a bit amazing since she did so many King's Quest
Yeah, I
titles.
think
I
most
mean,
people
she had a
take
long
King's
career.
Quest for her best. Did she do Space Quest? Was that her?
I don't know. I'd
Like,
have to
I
look
feel
it
like
up.
we should give some context to our hypothetical listeners and maybe just to Jessica about what Sierra Online's whole deal is. They did point and click adventure games. King's Quest was their big hit, but they also did Leisure Suit Larry, Space Quest, probably some others. Augustine, help me.
What else did Sierra Online?
Gabriel
Did
Knight.
they do yeah, Gabriel Knight definitely. Did they do Leisure Suit Larry? Did they publish
Yeah,
that?
well, they did Soft Porn Adventure and Leisure Suit Larry was a remake
Yeah,
of that. So
yeah.
maybe I'm making assumptions, but I think that was them. And it's
Well,
like it
no, go ahead.
it was a genre of game that was kind of only for personal computers. Like there were ports to consoles, but they weren't really worth it. And it was like this, except usually you would have action commands instead of just clicking on random stuff. And you just kind of had to go around and click on things. And it was more about kind of showing off graphics than it was about gameplay, like as a genre. And like
Mhm.
LucasArts and Sierra Online were the two big companies that made these games. And of course, LucasArts eventually became the Star Wars games only company, and Sierra, they went bankrupt or something in the late 90s, and the genre kind of died. But for a while, this was like the big genre for home computer players, like as opposed to console game players.
Right. So if we're talking about just Roberta Williams's career, her first game was a horror game called Mystery House. So I
Ooh.
can see that being a nice I can
Was
see
it
why maybe she
similar to
thought
this game?
yeah, it was you were in a Victorian mansion and it involved murders occurring. You're trying to find out who the murderer is in the mansion. So
I wonder who it was.
I can kind of see why she'd think of Phantasmagoria as like the ultimate expression of that first game.
Yeah.
Like 15 years later though.
Right. So the
Um
interface in this game is you have a context sensitive cursor. And then at the bottom of the screen, you have 8 slots. Each one contains an item. And in adventure game fashion, you can use your item on random things. And then in addition to that, you have 2 little friends there at the bottom of the screen to help you. You have Hint Skull, who is a treacherous bastard and tricked me into killing myself. And you have Eyeball, who lets you look at your items. I love Hint Skull's voice, though. He's the official hint keeper.
Mhm.
don't use him too often, or you might spoil the game
Yeah,
for
I thought he
yourself.
was like hinting that the game would like kill you if you used him too much, but he just genuinely wanted you to try and figure out like
No, he just yeah, yeah.
the
He just
puzzles
meant
aren't
like
bad.
don't ruin the game for yourself. Like enjoy trying to figure all this shit out on your own is what
Well,
he
because
meant.
like
Yeah.
Hint Skull went from being completely useless to being very didactic by the end. Because like I had to find Dawn, I didn't know where he was, and the Hint Skull just went
hmm
find Dawn. And then at the end, Hint Skull was like, "There's a secret panel in the chapel next to the door."
just outright telling you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, at first Hint Skull was like very vague and cryptic, and it's like a sharp implement would be helpful. Just like, well, where do I find a sharp implement? Hint Skull.
You would think they might have decided to make him less useful as the game goes on, but no. You hit chapter 7, he's as useful as he's ever
Except he
been.
didn't tell me to
You'll
get
ever
one of
will
the
be.
items I needed. He told me to go into the last room of the game and trigger the whole ending sequence before I had the items I needed. So he basically told me to kill myself.
Well, it's because you have to follow what Malcolm told you in the previous chapter.
Well,
So
Malcolm
yeah.
he said you needed blood. How was I supposed to intimate from that I was supposed to go into one random room of the house and find a broken piece of glass?
Or use the what was it, a brooch or something?
The
Um,
brooch.
But I
You can use
used the
the
Okay,
glass
brooch on
so
for
yourself?
no
Wait,
gain.
wait, wait. The cameo,
mhm.
you can use that on yourself?
Yeah, yeah, you can cut yourself with it in the finale
Wait,
if
so
you don't get.
that's okay. Hinsko wasn't trying to kill me. I could have done that. I
Yeah,
didn't
because
know
you
that.
can you can look at the eye and then take out the like a little pin, and then you can use it on Adrian so she'll cut herself.
Oh, so Hinsko wasn't trying to kill me. I just
No,
didn't know that I had to
he's not
examine
as
my item.
treacherous as you claim he is.
Cause like, okay, the first time that got me was when we had the cat statue and you were supposed to examine it to find like, okay, I need to know, guys, did you use hint skull? Did you look up walkthroughs? Did you figure this all out on yourself?
Okay, so when I got to the fucking fireplace, I was like, "Are you fucking like?" I had like the pick, I had the hammer. Like I kind of like explored everything before I like continued with any of the story. So I got a lot of this stuff in chapter one.
Hmm.
And then when I finally got to like fireplace, in the library, like where the chapel is, I was like, what the why can't I just hammer this shit? Like, why can't I just scrape with like I was just getting so pissed off. And then Augustine had texted me. He was texting me while I was playing and hey, don't forget to utilize the eye. And I was like, okay. So I first, like an idiot, I was like, put the item over the eye. I was like, he's not doing anything. Like, what the fuck? This is a waste. But then I didn't realize you had to click with the item on the eye. It's, by the way, this game is very like, you have to like click every fucking thing. Click to lift your arm, click to push the
Yeah.
button. Like,
And like
oh
I
my
had to
God,
get help
it's
from
just so
Augustine on that one
tedious.
too. Like Augustine just told me, like people in 1995 didn't have Augustine to tell them how to play the game.
Right?
And the thing is,
You
I
were on
actually
your
looked it
own.
up and I got a forum post from 1995 is what I found, like first Google
Oh,
results. So
wow.
people were still confused by this when the game came out. And like, my God, why out of all the items? Also, okay, this might be me being dumb, but using the matches on yourself in order to see in the dark, like I would have, I like that sounds like you're setting yourself on fire.
Yeah, and considering it's an
I can
adventure game and
agree.
you think about older ones.
Did you figure that out, Jessica, that you're supposed to use the matches on yourself?
That one I figured out pretty fine. It was just the
So now I feel
the
dumb, but
fucking no, don't feel dumb because
like I knew I needed the matches.
after I figured like, oh yeah, we'd have to basically like scroll the whole screen with the mouse just to try and figure shit out because the pixelation on this is really bad. And so like it's so bad that some of the objects are obvious, but then it's also bad some of the objects are not
Did you
obvious
know
on
what the
like
nail
where
was
you need to
supposed to
click.
be? Like, there's a nail
It
in a barn
Yeah.
at one point. I had no idea what it was.
it
Like, I
it
knew it was
didn't
something
it
you could click
looked
on.
yeah, it didn't look much like a nail because of the pixelization
And then,
compression. Do you think that maybe this looked better on a CRT
I mean, it's
back in
possible,
the
but
day?
that's kind of the out that everybody gives for their
Yeah,
games.
I would
So
actually have to test it out on a CRT monitor, and I'm
they're
not gonna.
always like the pictures, the graphics looked better, the controls were better, everything was better on a CRT. It's like, maybe the game just wasn't great.
Honestly, the only reason why I even thought like of actually looking at the items and with the eyeball and clicking on it, was because you do
Mm,
that in the original Resident Evil, which came out a year after this and was also about the creepy mansion thing. But
Hmm.
yeah,
mm.
as far as like creepy mansions go, I think Resident Evil is the better game
Yeah, I've never
overall.
played the first Resident Evil, so I don't know. But I think maybe we should talk about how they shot this whole game in like a green screen studio, and the sound they recorded was so echoey because I don't think they had a
Oh
boom
yeah, it
mic
was
or
it was
anything.
bad. It was
And
so bad.
just like it's these people acting against 1990s CGI backdrops that they are not at all blended into. But one thing I gotta give them props for is when the characters are walking around, it does actually look like they're walking around, which is, harder than you'd think to make something look
Mm.
like that in animation.
Yeah, in front of the blue screen. Yeah, they worked hard on that. Also, they had I have to give them props for using a choir, a Gregorian chant.
Oh yeah,
It was
that
it's
music.
apparently 135 people in that choir.
See,
Like,
because of
damn.
the way that I
Oh
was set up, I
wow.
had no access to like audio controls while the game was open because I was on a virtual drive. So like I was getting that music at
Mm.
full blast all the time with no way to No way to turn
Or
it down or
lower.
shut it off. Yeah,
Oh
because I was on a
man.
I was on a virtual drive because I'm playing on a Mac, so I
Yeah.
had to set up this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the
Whereas
game
Jessica, you were Windows 10, right?
Yeah, I have Windows 10.
the game
Yeah, we
killed
were.
itself and I had to reinstall it. So one thing I got to give props for is the fact that you can start a new game from any chapter because like they knew that their game was going to be a buggy mess.
Now, what do you know if that was in the original release where you had the 7 discs?
Apparently it was. That's when I read Hardcore Gaming 101. It said that that was a thing in the original release.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. This also came out on the Saturn, but only dubbed into Japanese, and it had a different title.
It was called Phantasm.
Yeah. I guess
Um,
the movie Phantasm wasn't as big over in Japan.
and also the music is different. You don't get the Gregorian chant anymore,
I wonder what
unfortunately.
Japanese Hint Skull sounds like.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I mean, I'm assuming they kept the deep voice. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that was the
Oh,
best part about him.
the thing is, there's absolutely no fail states in this game through the first 6 chapters. But then in the seventh and final chapter, instead of being a regular adventure game, it turns into sort of a series of quick time events.
Yeah, kind of.
Absolutely have fail states.
I think we should talk about other things before we get to the final
Oh,
chapter,
sure.
the final
I
climactic chapter.
I want to talk about
Um,
Cyrus.
all right, you want to move on to Cyrus? Okay, so first, what 2 chapters
oh.
is mainly you just explore the mansion,
Well, you go
you
into
release the
town.
demon.
Yeah, you release the demon. So it's really all Adrian's fault. Like she
Yeah,
really
but I can't blame her though because it was just a nondescript box. There was
but it
no
was like it
warning or
was
anything.
behind us a brick wall that she
Okay.
tore down. She
Can
didn't find that by mistake.
can we just like throw in the fact that like and maybe I may have hit a skip scene button possibly, but just like why did you guys buy a house? You didn't have all the keys. You didn't know where anything like you didn't know what was in the house.
And then
Like
that real estate agent who's like a human cartoon man
Y-
with his like mauve suit and he's always smoking a cigar and he doesn't even give you the
Yeah,
keys.
he's such an exaggerated creep.
Yeah. And like that
Like
entire town.
yeah, that guy was a creep, but like honestly, like we didn't really need the weird sex scene in the beginning because I hit watch the intro video
oh
first
yeah.
and then it started the game. So I was getting the full on experience and I like afterwards, I guess on the titles you can or in the menu you can click the censored version. I'm not gonna
Oh, but
watch
you
the
can't do
censored
that
version.
before you start it.
No, you
Yeah, they
can't.
get rid of all the violence in with
Not the
that too.
violence
And the
and the
yeah, so
fully
should we put a
clothed sex.
should we put a trigger warning? Just like mention it real quick for anybody
Actually,
who
I
doesn't know
believe
about this.
trigger trigger warning or you can also put a disclaimer too
Yeah,
in the
you need to put
beginning.
it
Yeah.
on the video. We can't just say trigger warning.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
guess.
But there is a
But
quote unquote rape scene, but nobody
it's
takes any of their clothes off at
yeah,
any point.
it's not particularly graphic for what it
At
is.
first,
It's like an
because
aggressive hugging
because
scene.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just
no,
humping her like a dog with because he still has the
I
underwear on.
I really don't want to discuss that really any further. I just want to point out that like at first I thought it was just that like they were just having sex like oh great another sex scene. But then like afterwards like cuz you don't really understand that he's raping her or till like she's done like it with her facial expressions and she's crying it just made me very uncomfortable like what rating was this game how was that
Well, it
approved for
actually
that to be put
it
in a
first came
game
out
like oh
before the MPAA was in full force. Sorry, the ESRB was in full force, and then it later got an M rating like retroactively slapped onto it. So at first
mhm
it was unrated and it just had a warning on the box that it wasn't for kids. And then afterwards they put the M rating on it because ESRB was like mid 90s. It became a thing. And it was because of
mhm
congressional hearings over another FMV game, Night Trap, which was considered just
mm.
too provocative. And it's like if Night Trap was too provocative, like imagine if they had seen this.
Yep.
like it just was very uncomfortable it was very uncomfortable because like I recorded playthrough because I'm gonna use it on my channel. And like I was just fucking around calling her Sharon the whole time instead of Adrian because I really thought her name was Sharon at the beginning. But then like afterwards I was like, oh god, you don't deserve to be called Sharon. Like it was just like so I can't understand why someone would think that's totally cool to put this in a game. Like I understand if you're trying to show like he's being more abusive, I guess, but then you don't really need to add that. You can clearly see by him acting like a crazy person, like progressively, that
Yeah,
it's
he goes like
obvious
full
he's
on like the Joker at the end. Like he's laughing
Yeah.
maniacally.
Um.
It's a very
So
fast fall for him.
yeah, especially compared to Carno. Carno spent years possessed. This dude spends like 6 days and he's already
Apparently,
gone off the
even
deep
while
end.
possessed, he managed to convince multiple women, all of whom seemed to be 23 years old, according to the tombstones, which was a little weird,
Mm-hmm.
to marry
that
him.
was really weird. Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
one
we don't
alcoholic
really.
lady was a little older, but
Yeah, but we don't get much detail on like his relationship with
did he
them. Like,
kill all of his wives or just three of them? Because the lady in the antique store says she doesn't know what happened to the other ones.
well, everybody thinks they died of natural causes, but he no, he murdered every
Because
single
I
one
only
of them.
remember seeing like three murders, and did I just miss other murders?
Let's see. There was Hortensia, his first wife, who he killed. Then there was the one that he
Well,
fed.
how did he kill Hortensia?
Jessica, do you remember? I
Was that
honestly
the
forgot.
trowel, like in the greenhouse?
Yeah, it was in the greenhouse.
Okay,
And
so
then
there's
there was the one that
greenhouse.
he fed entrails to, like
Right. Where did he
animal
get those
entrails to.
entrails, by the way? Did he kill someone else to get those?
They were apparently animal entrails. I
They
think
said
he
it was
just killed the.
marinara sauce at one point, so I'm like, did he like make fake entrails out of food? I mean, that's
Y-
probably what they did on the actual set, but
Yeah, but I think they were supposed to be real animal
Hmm.
entrails. And then there
and
was
he
the
twisted the neck of
alcoholic
the one
one.
lady. Yeah, the alcoholic. And then he
Then he
twisted the
twisted.
neck of the one lady.
Yeah, and then there was the last one who he beheaded with the axe,
Yeah,
like
so
had on.
that is
Yeah,
five. I
that's
guess I
all five
just
of them.
lost count. There were five.
Yeah,
There were only like four tombs in the and one of them was for the baby.
Yeah, so
um,
the only three
hmm.
of the wives were in the tombs, then it was himself,
But it
and then it
wasn't
was the
really him.
baby.
It was
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
revealed
it wasn't
later.
it was
really him.
Gaston. Can we talk about the
Gaston.
names Zoltan, Carnivage, and Gaston?
Oh, Gaston seems
Right?
pretty
It's like,
reasonable.
Oh, and
why
Malcolm
as a
Worm
magician?
Shadow, please.
Okay,
I
that
wasn't
one's just
ready for
weird.
that to be his last name. It's like
That one
someone
is
named
definitely
Malcolm.
weird.
Yeah, and
Why
like
do we gotta make this guy like over 100 years old? Like,
also that he remembers what happened.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. He could have just been a historian or something.
Did you read
But
the letter about him going to Paris to get the book at the beginning? Because if you miss that, then I think you lose a lot of context for what's going on.
I mean, Malcolm goes over it in chapter 6, but yeah, you're right. You don't really have much context. But okay, I think I read an interview where Roberta Williams says that she thought that the going back to where we started first, and
Uh,
like this is like the last word on it because we all agree that the rape scene that starts chapter 4 was completely unnecessary, right?
Unnecessary, and they never bring it up
Completely.
again.
Yeah, which is so weird. Like,
yeah,
And
like
I just want to say I would have more respect for it actually if it was like actually more graphic cuz now they've made it disturbing but they've also not really they've half-assed it. So they managed to make
yeah.
everybody upset but they haven't even really done like a good scene. There's
Yeah,
everyone
because okay, I wouldn't say that I'd want it to be more graphic. I would just, but yeah, like you said, they're not. It's so unnecessary, and it doesn't add anything to the plot, which is what amazes me. Because in an interview, Roberta Williams says that it was vital to the plot because it's how you Adrian realizes her husband is different.
wow.
then
Like there's
she's a
something seriously
like
wrong with him. But he was already acting crazier,
And
like
then at the
in the
tarot reading right
preceding.
after when it's
Yeah,
like
like
evil's got a hold of your husband he's going to change she's like, "Ha, I don't believe in tarot
yeah,
cards."
that's exactly like what's up with Roberta Williams thinking the scene was so vital to the plot, where if you cut it out, if you skip it, and the rest of the plot still makes sense,
yeah,
and
And
it,
it
it
never got
it's just
mentioned again.
it's completely unnecessary, and it just like it just again it just makes me very uncomfortable that that was in it at all to begin with, and the fact that she's saying that it was vital for Adrian to understand to realize husband is something wrong with him. So what are you trying to say, that like somebody who's being abused is supposed to be that dim-witted to figure out that they're being abused? Like it's like that, just the fact that you've added that to the context of why that was in the game just makes me even more pissed off that it was in the game. Like it just didn't
And
need to be in there.
I feel like we
Period.
need to
Just
bring out that Roberta Williams and her husband Ken Williams, they actually live together in a giant villa, like the same way that this couple lives in a giant ass estate. So I feel like
Yeah,
that's an
mhm.
uncomfortable fact that makes me wonder how
because
much.
they're so removed from other people's lives, like regular
Yeah,
people's lives.
like that
Like,
weird when they were in they made Sierra Online made a game called Soft Porn Adventure, and Roberta Williams was one of, I think, about 4 women that posed nude for the cover of that game, and it's like this outdoor hot tub, and apparently that's their estate. They just have, like, outdoor hot tubs and giant wine barrels everywhere. Actually, a lot like the barrels that were in the basement of the pantry.
yeah, it might have been photos of those barrels too.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's kinda like her real house.
Yeah, but yeah, I just don't find it all that sensible that Don and Adrian bought an entire estate. Like they bought that whole section, not just
Can we
the
talk about the
mansion.
giant face on the wall outside in the yard? There's just, like, a human
There
face carved into the
there's
wall.
so many things we can talk about that's weird about the fucking house. Like the fact that there's medieval armor, torture devices,
A
all this
working
weird
electric
shit.
chair.
Yeah, and you're
Right?
telling me that Adrian and Don were okay keeping all that shit?
And
Like,
as long
what?
as we're like,
That's what I'm saying. Like they walked into this, they didn't even walk in the house. They're like, look outside. And I was like, yep, that's the one. Don't need to look at it. Just
Yeah,
give me the key.
I mean,
yeah,
it
they
was a
didn't look in the
giant
inside
house
or
that
anything.
presumably was very inexpensive. And also, like, the town of Nippewasit, I think, Nippewampsit, was like it's like 3 stores and 1 house, and that's the whole town.
Malcolm's house is, like, right next to
Yeah,
I know.
where
I
the
had trouble
stores are.
figuring that out too, that, like, there was you could go left.
Yeah, I had that issue too. I honestly, it just comes off as they didn't wanna spend more money on, like, a separate
I mean,
location,
it's
so they're like, "Fuck
understandable
it,
because
his
they
house
spent
is right there."
millions on this game. The
Yeah, they could have made
studio
the mansion
apparently,
smaller. They could have made the mansion smaller,
yeah,
honestly.
the studio cost them over $1,000,000 to build. They built a studio. Like, they didn't rent one,
They built like oh wow.
and it's
Okay,
like
so go ahead and then I'll say what I was gonna
I
say.
was just it's not like they had to because the whole thing is green screen anyway, and then they didn't even do a good job recording the sound. You can hear the background buzz over every line of dialogue.
When in chapter 3 at the very beginning when Adrian meets Cyrus for the first time and they're talking, they're outside and you still hear tons of echo. It made me laugh. It was like,
And
damn,
Cyrus and his
seriously.
mother, what role do they exactly serve? Like, except for that like, that one hint you get during the seance, they don't really contribute at all.
They're just comedic relief, but I
I
mean, I
wasn't
didn't find them
laughing.
particularly funny. Yeah.
And
No,
it's
I know
I
like
what
don't
they're
know.
meant for. I just
I
didn't think they
thought
were funny.
I thought Harriet was my favorite character. I know you guys are like not funny, but I found it
No, no,
I
I
found
don't
it
no,
hilarious.
what's weird to me is
I
that
don't dislike
Harriet,
them.
she facilitates between, like, Okie Farmer from Grapes of Wrath and, like, uh, Seance Lady from like, she's 2 different stereotypical characters, and she just goes back and
They were
It's
forth.
trying to save money, okay?
And then, like,
So they
Cyrus
merged them.
is Lenny from Of Mice and Men. Like,
Yeah, he is.
and they're, like, dressed in period costumes, and they're speaking with, like, Southern accents, and it's like,
Yeah, even though the game is set in the 90s.
why are 2 characters from the Grapes of Wrath just here?
And also
Like,
that
outside of
terrible
it.
wig. But okay, like I said, I don't dislike either character. They're just not that important to the plot overall. And even though they're meant as comedic relief, I didn't find them particularly funny. Not in a way where like they're making really horrible jokes. It's just I don't know. They come off as their stereotypes, and
Mhm.
that's meant to be funny in and of itself. Whereas I'm just like, eh. I mean,
And then even the thing with the cat, that's just straight up Mice and Men. And, like, my
yeah, it is.
god, and they try to misdirect you with that, but then it was really Dawn that killed the cat.
Yeah, when she finds the collar in chapter 6
Yeah, why did the
at the
cat have
near the
to
beginning.
die?
Yeah.
Like, it's so
That
I
was
didn't like that.
unfortunate. Um,
See, I thought when the when Harriet and Cyrus were introduced, I thought they were going to be like plot devices for in the sense that they would also be murdered as well. Not
That would've
like
made
just to real
sense.
to really hammer it in, like, oh fuck, this motherfucker's going
You
crazy,
so
you know?
so this is already skipping ahead to chapter 7 real quick. You can find their
Mm.
bodies during the final chase.
What? Where are they?
So,
What?
but see, the
What?
weird thing, okay, this is what I find really weird about the final chase is that if you do anything except get the book in the dark room at the beginning of the chase, you can't win, right?
Uh-huh.
But that
Okay.
immediately ends the chase and you can't find the bodies. So so I'm not sure if it's like a situation where you're supposed to interpret that if you don't find the bodies, then they just didn't die, and if you do, then they did.
Where are their bodies?
All right, so if you do the chase sequence and don't grab the book, so basically you lock yourself into you're going to die no matter what.
Mhm.
If you go to the
Mhm.
auditorium where she gets strapped, right? And
Mhm.
she's going to get killed,
Right.
and you go in there, you'll find Dawn wearing Harriet's hair, like, because he scalped her, and you find her corpse right there, right? And
Oh
he's like
no.
drinking the blood, like licking it off his fingers.
What?
And he's
But wait,
like,
but you're
That would
in
have
the
been an
he's,
auditorium
amazing
later,
scene
yeah,
to
so
see.
like if you're in the place where her body should be, I guess you have to
but you
interpret
but
that
you
she didn't
yeah,
die.
but you can't see it during the when she gets because you get caught no matter what because it needs to proceed.
Right.
The
Right.
plot needs to proceed, but you won't see the body or the wig or anything. But if you go in the auditorium during the chase sequence, you can find the body there. And Dawn says something like, "Let's order some pizza with some extra sauce," and he starts laughing while wearing her hair, which is obviously a wig,
It
like
seems
a
like I
really
missed out
bad old
on
lady wig.
like maybe the most interesting parts of the game by
Those
actually.
are some of the more memorable scenes is finding the bodies. Like
But what
if you
happens to Cyrus?
if you run away during the chase sequence into the secret passages, you can run into Cyrus's corpse hanging from the rafters and his head's been bashed in and blood dripping on Adrian and then the body falls on top of her.
Like my God, so this whole I feel like
Wow.
we should have seen
There's
that.
like this whole other right? Like there's this
No,
whole
see
ass
the
other
the chase sequence
scene.
is really replayable. You can tell that they spent a lot of time filming because there's so many permutations of that final chase sequence. It's
I'm
Mm.
so
yeah.
mad because I hit the review button when I died and
Oh
it
yeah,
showed
that's
me
terrible. You should
just
have
an
just exited out.
unskippable version. I
Why
couldn't
didn't
because I would have had to reinstall the game.
But so I remember okay, you told me earlier today that it made you really angry, but at
It
the same
did.
time I'm like, it's not really the game's fault though because like on Windows 10 like I can exit
Well,
out.
it is the game's fault because okay, you have a
No,
skip
no,
button
well,
all the time.
obviously they should. No, I get it. They should allow you to skip it, but at the same time your main issue was that you couldn't exit out yourself because you'd have to reinstall and that was because you were playing it. You were
Yeah.
essentially emulating
But
it
luckily I
via Mac.
figured out that I could hit
Yeah.
escape and skip cutscenes even though it didn't like even though the skip button wasn't highlighted. And that got me through
Yeah.
the next time playing through the chase because I didn't want to watch the 20 minutes of the demon
Oh,
slowly
and
emerging from Don's
also you
body.
can find the repairman's body. What was his name? Mike, right?
Yeah, but we saw
So
him
you
get killed, so
no,
we
we
know.
see him get killed, but you can find the body and it's been like put in a closet or something, and it falls out and it scares Adrian.
Wow,
So yeah,
there's like this
there's a
whole
lot
ass
you can.
I feel cheated right now. There's this
Yeah,
whole
I'm
ass
like, I
other
feel like
scene.
a good design would have been you have to run past all of those corpses on your way to the end of the game. Like that seems like good design, you know?
And then instead, to actually complete the game, you have to not do anything in the chase sequence. You just grab the book and immediately get caught. But where's she putting her inventory though? All she's doing is wearing a baggy sweater
And
and
those
in the
pants are
pants.
very tight. Like I thought it was like an Eric Estrada and Chips type of thing where they sewed them special for her, but apparently Augustine told me this. These are just her street clothes that she showed up in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what kills me is Roberta Williams has credited herself as costume designer in the credits.
You mean those was the actress's street clothes, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
She wore the same clothes for like 4 months.
because she showed
By
up
the
on the first day wearing that, and they said it was better than any costume they could make for her, which shows a
for the
lack of
character.
imagination, I think.
Yeah, and then by the end of filming, apparently the pants were being held together with tape.
Also, Don always looks like he's about to go fishing.
He does. I guess they were trying to go for a photographer look, but it didn't. It
I guess he
yeah, it
keeps
comes off
filming
more.
stuff in there. But yeah, this is
Yes.
the age when it was perfectly okay for like manly characters to have ponytails, like the very brief window in the early to mid 90s.
Oh yeah,
Listen,
the
there's
Terry
nothing wrong,
Bogard.
dude,
Well, yeah,
with a
but like
ponytail, but like it was just like
Like Terry Bogard and of course Leo from Twin Peaks, who I think this character really reminded me of.
Yeah, I think that she was thinking a lot of Twin Peaks when it came to like his general behavior.
Have you seen Twin Peaks, Jessica?
No.
I can't in good conscience recommend it because it just goes all over the place.
No, I can recommend it. I love that show. I
It's
love
fun
all the
for the
seasons.
first season and a lot of the second season. Mm,
And then season 3 is either you love it or hate it, pretty
and
much.
the movie's for nobody. It's like none of the
No, I
characters
love
you
the
like are
movie.
back.
I love the movie. And also if you watch it on Blu-ray or DVD now, you can watch the missing scenes with the returning cast from the show. And they have some of the best scenes from the entire
Then why
series.
did they cut them out if they were the best scenes?
They made David Lynch cut it out because the movie's going to be over 4 hours long, and they cut it down to like less than 2 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I
they
gotta
really
say.
fucked the movie.
Oh, we were getting in the weeds here, but the snowman ornament, huh? That was a setup and a payoff that we got.
I
I
guess.
thought that was the corniest thing. I was like, why are we being introduced? Well, this is sappy and like dumb. And yeah, no, it did. It took me a minute to figure that out because I died.
And he's like, I'm
Like,
just gonna keep this with me. It's like, what?
All right.
Okay.
So okay.
did they
So
really?
by
Why did
oh
they
yeah.
really use the same amount of clothes? Why not? Like, I would like that was my other thing. I was playing. Is like, are we just not going to change clothes?
Oh, I can tell
These
you
are the
why,
only
because
clothes.
they'd have to shoot new footage of her walking around to every location every time she changed outfits. And
Couldn't she have just had different? Oh yeah.
Ah.
You're right because a lot of the game it was huge at the time, obvious from the 7 discs, right? But a lot of that data is just repeated across discs so that you wouldn't have to constantly change.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Instead,
okay,
you
that
only
actually
switched
makes
every
sense.
chapter. So it was it was like a convenience thing because otherwise you would have been switching like from the mansion to town. You would have had to switch discs, and that would have been annoying as fuck for people at the time. Not an issue anymore for
Mm.
us, but in the 95 it would have been.
No, that makes sense now. Now that you put that into perspective, I just was just like, okay, we only have one outfit. All right.
I didn't
What was I
even
gonna
notice
say?
until like chapter 3 that she hadn't changed her clothes. She even sleeps in it too.
She does. I think one of the only times she ever changes clothes is at the beginning of chapter
Yeah,
4
the
and
the
then never again.
nightgown.
Yeah, and that's about it. Yep.
And then the various wives with their like Victorian dresses. That was some nice
Yeah,
costuming.
they spent a lot more on that than they did on Adrian's clothes.
God.
That's for sure.
Oh, we'll give it this. Like, all over the place as it kind of is. I will give it that. It is very creative. I can give it that 100%. Like, the plot is a little, again, all over the place, but like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty unique and creative. Like the actual like historical background plot of like the ghost itself. I didn't really care for again Adrian and Don's dynamic pre him being possessed. Like I just felt like he just felt a little sleazy to me. Just weird.
Mm.
It was
During chapter
weird.
1?
Yeah, like I just thought he was like like it was just like I don't know. I just didn't like Don from the beginning.
Um, I mean, I didn't like Dawn either during chapter 1, which is the only chapter he's not possessed in. But it wasn't
Right.
because I thought he was a bad person. He just seemed like generic husband. I mean, he just spends the whole
Mm.
chapter fixing some pipes. That's about
Yeah.
it. He didn't. He just seemed like an okay husband. I mean, he wasn't mistreating Adrian or anything. They seemed to get along in that one chapter. How much do you think he actually has control over his actions post chapter 1? Because I never got a sense of how much of him is still in there.
I mean, he's still building a darkroom for his photography, and he's really upset about publishing deadlines. I don't think the demon would really care about that.
But the demon also managed to live in Carno for like years, though. So
That's true.
I'm not sure how much
And
of
the
it
demon was
is.
still like doing magic shows.
I guess the demon really like sorcery or something. I don't know what was up with that. Was it like him imprinting his prior victim or something?
And like the first
Hard
time
to
the
tell.
demon got expelled from a host, it just kind of nothing happened, and a little boy just put a thing in a box. And then the second time, we get like a giant CGI monster,
Yeah, I didn't get that either. Why didn't he just like why didn't the demon erupt and, fuck up the mansion or something?
and it's like that was
It-
It's
maybe the
weird.
most underwhelming part of the whole game was when we actually saw the demon, and he was like a
Yeah.
boss from I don't even know what, like a
He
boss from
was like a muscular snake, kind
yeah,
of, right?
big buff snake.
I don't know. Plot
But yeah,
twist, Dawn
so
was never a good person. That's why it manifested so quickly.
Yeah,
ooh,
that would have been
because like
interesting.
Karnov adopted a 10-year-old boy, I guess, with his first wife. Like, why? Did we ever get any reason why he adopted Malcolm
I mean, he
Wormshadow?
seemed like an older man, so maybe he just, he took on a ward because he adopted him first before getting the book that would lead to his possession.
And then
So
after
I
the
don't
book,
know.
he had a baby, right? Because the baby was really new when he turned evil.
Yeah, daughter, right?
And he killed the
I'm
daughter. Said it was
I'm
an
a
accident.
little sorry.
What?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm just a little, and maybe because I wasn't paying attention to the dates, but like I'm very confused on like him adopting Malcolm in that timeline because it was like I adopted this 10-year-old boy, but then how much time has gone by since he like married all his wives? Is it just like within you know what I mean? So
It must have been
technically
like
isn't
Well, they
maybe
all
3
died in
years.
like the late 1890s, and 1897 was the photo with Malcolm in it.
so shouldn't Malcolm technically be 120? I guess
No,
at
because
this
he
point.
was he was 10 in 1897, and it's 1995.
Well,
I,
they say he's 110 during the current game,
yeah, and then
or
like the guy
nearly
at the store
110.
says he's
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
100. So like the guy at the store doesn't know what's going on.
And then Lou from the antique shop, she
Oh
says
yeah,
that
she has all that
he's
exposition,
110.
but it doesn't seem
She's
like it's
basically
important to
just
visit her.
she's just an exposition machine from beginning to end. Because at the
And
very beginning, she's like, "Oh, I know who you are. You're Adrian Delaney with the fucking mystery novel or whatever. Can I
And
have
it's
your
like I knew I
autograph?"
was supposed to give her the stupid cameo brooch, but like it wouldn't let me give her anything. So I kept talking to her, and she kept giving me another 10 minutes of exposition. It's like would she have eventually let me give her the brooch?
Mm.
Because like she
I
was
just
on the
thought
phone
it.
I
talking
don't
about how she
know.
needed a cameo brooch. Like that's the
Uh,
first thing that happens with her.
what I thought was really weird is that to progress, sometimes you have to talk to her repeatedly, but every time you start talking to her again, they act like you left the room and came back like hours later. That was
Yeah.
pretty funny to me because I'm like, I didn't even move. Like, I just stayed right behind you and immediately started a new conversation. And Adrian's just like, "Hey, sorry to bother you again, Lou." And they're like, "Oh, it's okay. I wasn't doing anything."
God. On the Karnov, the magician who owned the house before Adrian and Dawn, I said before, kind of a Bluebeard character, killed all his wives, and we get to see the death scenes in chapter 5, I think it is, like in various mirrors and stuff that Adrian looks in. Any thoughts on the various death scenes? I was told that they were going to be graphic, and they weren't really. They were just kind of odd.
They were
I think for
graphic,
maybe
but
1995, that's
Well,
pretty
you say
graphic.
that, but
Like,
look at like horror movies from the 80s. Look at like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like,
I meant to plug that into a video game, not necessarily
it's true, it's true.
a movie.
And like
I
that
mean, Mortal
trowel
Kombat
thing.
was more violent.
Like the idea of somebody like stabbing you to death with a trowel is a little disturbing, but then the idea of an actress holding a trowel in her mouth while surrounded by what looks like chocolate cake bits that are supposed to be dirt and like drizzled with like red icing. And it's just and
Yeah,
then
and yeah, in execution, it's not as violent as it could
a
have been.
lot of focus on mouths in the murders. Trowel in the mouth, handkerchief in the mouth of the one girl.
Mm.
I don't know, maybe there's something there. Probably not because the one just gets a bottle in her eye.
And then Marie gets killed with the axe through her head.
That's true. Wait, we're missing one. So bottle in the eye, head twisted around,
Yeah,
trowel in the mouth, axe through the head. There's one I'm missing.
I mean, I guess you could say they all die via damage to their head.
Yeah, that's true. But
Well,
That's about
yeah,
it.
because
Who am I
Dawn was
forgetting?
saying
Oh yeah,
about
the force feeding, the tube in the mouth. Also, none
Yeah.
of them died from the electric chair, so it's like, why was that even there?
Yeah, seems like a wasted opportunity.
And they said that the house wasn't wired for electricity until, or at least Lou said, until after Karnov died. So why is there a working electric chair in the house?
Was that the
Karnov never.
previous family that lived there that
Yeah, or
added
they didn't
that?
even live there. They just bought it and never moved in. That's what Lou says. So
Yeah, it's
they're like,
pretty
move my
strange.
electric chair in. Why
They
are the
don't
pipes
mention
on?
any murders, so I guess the demon didn't do shit to them. I don't
No.
know.
Apparently, people like had accidents and got hurt. So that's
Yeah, but
something.
nothing
um
involving them dying.
didn't
Uh,
find Lou till chapter 6 because in chapter 1 I went to the like I said I explored everything I could, and so the antique shop is closed in chapter 1, and so I just never ventured
right. You
back
never really
into
have to
like
talk to her, I
chapters.
don't think.
And you don't have to, because by the time I got to her and I had to listen to every fucking dialogue because I
Oh
just wanted
yeah.
to make sure I didn't miss anything. I was like, I literally just figured all this out without
I
you.
just
What
Yeah,
the
I
fuck?
just
and
gave up
the
after a certain point. Like I feel like I was
yeah,
supposed to talk to her much earlier too.
there's also the
Yeah.
real estate agent. You only really need to talk to him for the key, and then you can go back in for some like
Oh, he loves the
a
bubble.
scene. Yeah, the that really
He's
weird
got. Did
scene
you see
where
that
he's with
scene,
another
Jessica?
woman.
Bubble?
He's got like a floozy
But
in there
Yeah,
with him who's
so
like blowing bubbles with bubble gum, and he's like, "I love when you do the bubbles."
it's
oh no, I didn't
yeah, you
go
get that
back in
scene
the
if
real
you go
estate.
back in after you get the key, right? That you need for the skeleton key for the mansion.
Yeah, and just if you go back in that, and then if you go in again, he's just sitting there and like, "Can I help you?" And he's a ridiculous man, and he feels like he comes out of like a gangster movie, like a 1940s gangster movie.
He's like he came from a cartoon, like a
Yeah,
full-on cartoon.
and then
Like
like that
Harriet's
woman,
wig looks like a cartoon, but you
like
know.
we never see anybody else in the town except for like random guy playing with a ball outside.
And then there's a guy sitting down, and then a woman walking by who's apparently Roberta Williams.
Oh, how about that?
Is a
But then
woman
like
walking by.
random sexy woman for the real estate agent to hit on. So apparently she seems into it. So I guess he's somehow very successful with women. And he says she's a client. Like, is he gonna sell her a house?
Mm, it's kind of weird that he'd invite her to his real estate agency. Why not just go to his home
I
or
think he
something?
might live there.
It's all he can afford.
Like, I'm not positive, but I
He's
think
not a very he's not a very good real estate agent. The estate sale was his best sale of the year or some shit. Who knows?
who
Who
knows? I mean, he
knows?
doesn't seem to have the best leads.
I almost feel it's like that he's written that way because Roberta Williams, it was so rich at the time she can't identify with regular people. Like, oh, well, how are real estate agents actually like? I don't know. Just fucking
Is she
let other people
really
handle it.
that
She
rich
lived
and
in a
had
No,
private villa,
no, she was wealthy as fuck. She's apparently still wealthy. She's been
and yet
retired
she
for
came
20
back to do a
years.
Facebook game despite being
No, that
wealthy.
was in 2011, and then it was like the only
Oh
thing
god.
she
I
did.
looked into her husband's like bibliography after you said he wrote several books, and he writes books like How to Succeed at LinkedIn in 21 Days and like marriage
oh
advice to
god.
Rachel and Kevin. It's like, who are Rachel and Kevin? I don't know. But then he wrote one book that was actually about making the Sierra Online games. And from his story, what happened is he took on outside investors in like the late '90s. They staged a hostile takeover, and that was the end of Sierra.
I think he was still around when they published Half-Life, which they
Sierra did
saw
Half-Life.
as yeah, they published Half-Life. They also regretted not buying its software when they had the chance.
Yeah, because what is it,
Yeah.
Zenalena or whatever that big
Yeah,
company,
ZeniMax
Microsoft.
owns its software now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Microsoft bought ZeniMax out now, but
Well, someday everything's just gonna be owned by the same. Like if everything was owned by
Got
one
it?
mega corporation, it would at least be convenient. But everything being owned by like five mega corporations, you still need multiple subscriptions and stuff.
you just get cyber warfare.
Like at the very least, if one company owned everything, things would be just as bad, but you wouldn't have to get like five different subscriptions.
Yeah, they would already yeah, Amazon Prime would have everything.
Yeah.
Be great, I guess. No, probably
Literally.
not.
Was she rich like before
Her husband
Phantasmagoria?
definitely was, because like when they did,
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to soft porn adventure, which is one of their earliest games, and they shot the cover at her and her husband's private villa. So like they were
Mm.
already private villa rich when their earliest games were coming out. I don't think their money was from games.
Oh, originally, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I think they were old
I
money.
mean, he was an IBM engineer or
Yeah.
something, but I don't know. But like we were talking earlier, I'm not sure if that's villa money right there.
Yeah, they say she was a very shy, like introverted, almost shut in, and then her husband convinced her to start writing for games. This was her telling of the story. I don't know, and that got her to come
Mm.
out of her shell. But I mean, how shy and introverted could she be if she ended up getting married to somebody? Like clearly she left the house.
They got married young. They got married basically as soon as he turned 18 because she's like 2 years older than him.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, this was
So
back
wait,
All
in
right.
was she like waiting? Was she like dating a teenager and be like
I
someday?
have I have no well, I mean she was only 2 years older, like a year
That's
and a
true.
half older. Yeah, it's not that big a difference. Oh well,
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. So as far as Phantasmagoria and the mansion, yeah, mansion's really fucking
The
weird. There's a
ridiculous
lot of
mansion.
weird shit. There's a
And we
lot of
need
weird
just
shit in this game.
the image of these live action people superimposed over these incredibly unconvincing backdrops is just it's an aesthetic that I actually really like.
I mean, would you like a new game using our
I
technology
I
for it?
would like a new game that kind of looks like that. Like my fiance described it as very Burton-esque. Just because it looks kind of like I mean, I guess it all goes back to Cabinet of Caligari when they're on those really unconvincing cardboard sets at the end. You know, the chase scene with Césaire.
I think it does give the game like a nightmarish quality to it because it's so unreal. It really does seem like a dream.
Even less real than things made with the Unreal Engine.
Yup. Well, I'm not sure how intentional that was though, just because well, it's what they
I mean,
had
this
at the
was
time.
cutting edge graphics for 1995. Like
Yeah,
Myst
but
was what, 2
in
years old at this point?
yeah, something like that. And then, but I mean, in retrospect, it does come off as very uncanny.
I'm told that the sequel has actual physical sets.
It does. It was all shot on location. They only used blue screen during the final sequence set in another reality.
The one thing I've gotta give
Mm.
props to is and this is almost a pun, the way that the actors interacted with props that were clearly not really there. Like some of them were real physical things, but like honestly, the lead actress, she gets a lot of credit for being able to interact with pretend doors and pretend objects and drawers and stuff as if she were really doing it. She's very convincing to me.
I
I
guess that's
mean,
fair. I just thought the acting was just not good in general.
I mean, I
it
think
was
But now that
Cyrus
you
and
put
Harriet
that
dragged
in,
everything down.
oh, I
I
thought
think
they were better than a lot of other people in the
Who
game.
are they better
I
than?
thought so too. As far as acting wise, yeah. I mean, it's stereotypical, but
I think,
nonetheless.
like,
But
general store
now,
guy, I was utterly convinced by. I'm like, yeah, he probably really runs a store.
He's really that bored
And
while they were
Karnov, I
filming
had
that.
a lot of fun with Karnov the Magnificent.
Yeah, he was fun.
Gaston was a fun take. Honestly, I was having a good time. I know that people rag on the acting in this game. I have no problem with it, except for Cyrus and Harriet, who were just ridiculous characters who didn't feel like they belonged in the story.
Yeah, that you could have remember when they do the seance scene and Harriet vomits out goo, and then the goon is Carno's soul trying to warn Adrian.
Yes, like
It's so
why didn't we
bizarre.
get like Dawn's Soul trying to warn us about something? Like, where's Dawn's Soul
Yeah.
in all this?
Oh, he's just
it would
stuck
have
in the
just
body
been
apparently.
too obvious that he's the bad guy. Just
Oh,
way
and
too obvious.
the very, very Shining-esque thing where she finally gets into the dark room and kind of like how in The Shining, Jack's entire manuscript is just all work and no play, make Jack a dull boy over and over
Uh-huh.
again. All the photos he's been feverishly working on are just a ton of pictures of Adrian.
Yeah, with her head, with the photos with the head removed.
Yes, because he's gonna cut off her head.
And he says, well, he doesn't cut off her head by the end. He just like splits her head into nothing
He's
with
got
that.
plans regarding her head.
Yeah, but what was the line he said when
It's
you
like a
find
woman's
the
body is a beautiful subject, but the
is
head is
a wonderful thing, but the head is useless. And then he starts laughing like the Joker.
Yeah, he went like
Um,
full like
Yeah,
manic.
he he did went manic. I was like, okay, he's just acting like a douche, like a super douche because he's possessed. Okay, whatever. And abusive. Not that that's a good thing, but okay. But then yeah, like just start laughing maniacally, like, wow,
he turns
we
into a cartoon.
literally turned the volume up on that one max. So just we started at like a 5, we're all the way to 100.
You know what? I kind of wish the demon had been more creative because the demon seems to be having fun possessing Dawn, right? But then it just doesn't even talk
Mhm.
once it's released from his earthly host.
Maybe it doesn't have
Mhm.
the throat and various other parts to make human sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been fine with telepathy or something. But
Yeah, that
yeah, it was
demon.
I thought it was a missed opportunity to have the
Yeah,
demon have a little bit more personality once it was out.
a little more,
Um,
not too much.
yeah. Also, when he killed the repairman and he started laughing, like honestly, once he just went completely insane, I thought those were some of the more entertaining bits
Now
of the
that I
whole
realize
game.
that Adrian is just not aware of any of these murders that are going on. Like 3 people
No,
murdered and she just never finds out.
Well, in
I'm
your
still on that.
playthrough,
Yeah,
And
I'm
that, like, she's
so
the main
annoyed.
character, but, like, we see it's like an omniscient viewpoint for this game because we see a lot of stuff that she's not aware of. And also
yeah,
she's
that's
Why
true.
did they
severely
Oh, I was gonna say, what it just feels like they really wanna make Adrian really oblivious. It's annoying. It's very
well, if she
annoying. I don't
wasn't,
like
she would
it.
have left the house, I think, if she wasn't oblivious. But then again, like, she underreacts to everything. Like, if I started hearing, like, a baby crying when there was no baby and the rocking chair moved by itself and it was singing lullabies, like, that would have been the point where I got the hell out
Okay,
of there.
maybe the correct term then, because she clearly sees what's happening, but I guess that's a better way of describing it. Very like just not reacting.
You know? I mean, I
Uh,
kinda I kinda had fun with the various death scenes. They were kinda like a campy horror movie style type of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the death scenes were probably like my favorite part of the whole fucking game, which isn't till
You
the
know what
end, but
it
yeah,
reminded
whatever.
me of? There was this, film from, I wanna say the '70s, it's called The Wizard of Gore, and it was about a magician who just brutally killed women on stage, and everybody thought it was part of the show because everyone in this movie is really dumb. And it's like, I really feel like that was a huge inspiration for this game, even though I don't think Roberta Williams has acknowledged it.
Mm.
Wizard of Gore. Similar movie called Bloodsucking Freaks. Like, there were a lot of evil magician movies in the '70s for some reason. But those
Mm.
movies, oh my gosh, they did not shy away from the blood and the guts and the whatnot. And this movie,
Mhm.
this game really does.
So I
I don't
looked up.
understand
Oh, wait,
why. Oh, I was just gonna just add on to like the magician, him naming him Magician Carno. Like he already has like a very easy name. Like he literally could have just kept his name as like the magician. Like that's
Carnivage,
or Zoltan. Like
Zoltan. Yeah, like Zoltan Carnavaggio and Gaston, what was his last name? I
I
just
don't
the
remember.
names are so silly in this game, or at least the past people names are. The present people names are just kind of normal.
Yeah, there's Don Gordon, Adrian Delaney. I don't think Harriet or Cyrus get a last name.
Lou is Luann. She might have a last name, but maybe her last name is Anne.
Harriet does have a last name. I'm on Wikipedia.
Oh, it's like
It,
Harriet It's like it's a alliterative name, I think.
Hockaday.
Harriet
Harriet
Huckaday.
Hockaday.
Like, she
Yes.
doesn't feel like she belongs in that game.
No, but it's funny. She's sorry. I was like, because I was just like, this game is like the character is not reacting in the way that they should as a as a final girl in a horror game. Just like we need to like oh maybe actually I take that back. Just continuing on to stay in the house and look around. Yeah, that's actually very final girl esque. You know, just being stupid and continuing instead of leaving the house. I was just like again, certain things just like think on goodbye. We're not coming back to this house. Just wow.
Yeah, maybe this is why you should inspect your home before you move in.
Or, yeah, know what's the home, what is in the home. That's and they just didn't even know that the tomb was part of the property, even though you can explore that tomb area
Well, she asked
without
Luann about the
realizing.
tomb, and in my case, she asked Luann about it before she even saw it, so she seems to be aware of it. Or maybe that was just me sequence
Oh,
breaking.
mm, yeah. Oh, I don't see Gaston has the last name.
Oh, I thought he
Could be
did,
wrong.
but I think
Could be
Malcolm
wrong.
Malcolm Wormshadow mentioned it to us. What's going on with Malcolm's nurse? Did she have was there something going on with her?
Basically nothing from what I can tell. You just meet her and give her the book. She lets you in, and that's about it. I don't remember her ever
She
appearing
seemed
appearing
kind of
again.
creepy.
Yeah, it would have been interesting had she actually had something to do with the plot, but I guess not.
So many
Yeah,
Also,
things
that
that
was
I
kind
really
of a waste. Sorry, go
would
ahead.
do you ever have to talk to Luann? Like, is she ever important?
I feel like you don't have to because like all I had to do was go back to the house because I used the skull guide to just make sure I was doing the right thing. Like after I explored everything, I was like, okay, I have everything. I just need to make sure that I don't have to go anywhere else beforehand. And he was just like, yeah, go to the house. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to the house yet. I want to check out the antique store just to see if I missed anything else. And I didn't. You literally don't even have to talk to Luann or Lou, whatever the fuck her name is.
Like, she's important for the sake of exposition because she spells out for you everything that you can kind of infer from what you've already seen.
Yeah.
so I'm
Really, you
looking
don't
at
even have to
some.
ever meet her.
So what was your favorite death scene, like, of all the wives that Karnov killed?
Um, hmm.
I think
It was a
mine
little weird.
mine was the entrails one, but, like, was that the speaker from his phonograph machine that he shoved in her mouth? Like,
I think it was just the funnel, but I'm not sure.
it didn't really seem like that would kill her though, because she could still breathe through her nose, but, whatever.
I think she just choked on it,
Yeah.
But
But that was the most fun, I thought, of all the 'cause it was absolutely bizarre, and then that weird, like, head twisting thing. Like, I think the bottle one and the trowel one are the 2, like, least imaginative.
yeah, they're pretty fast too.
Yeah,
Overall, especially the bottle.
yeah. Oh, the trowel, and I love that the body of that wife was just, like, in a flower pot. It was, like, right there. Nobody did any sort of investigation in the 1800s.
Nope. Nope. I was gonna say like, oh wow, like because we really just be having a dead body. I'm
Oh, wait, so
surprised that
that's
that's the
why
only dead
that's why
we
there weren't tombs for
see.
all the wives because he just hid them sometimes, I guess. Yeah. What was
That
his
makes
explanation for
sense.
his wives that, like, were dead? Like, they show up and she's got, like, her head cut off. I was like, "It was an accident." Like,
No, I think it was just like he got the body, he just buried the bodies quickly, and everybody's like, "Oh, natural causes." But I mean, you get married 5 times and all of them die. Like, come on.
it's
And
funny
also
Right.
the with the final wife, how the fuck does somebody know it's a murder? Because Malcolm, he does end up hiding the body of Zoltan, and
well,
then Gaston's
Mhm.
body is confused for being Carno's body because it's so mutilated. But yeah, it's pretty
it's
strange.
like, I don't know. I think if because, like, both the wife and who they think is Karnov are horribly mutilated, maybe they think it was just a joint accident.
Oh, a joint accident.
Like, they both accidentally
Yeah,
killed
I'm
themselves.
sure.
Who knows? Who knows? I love that they completely misidentified a body. Like, 1800s 1800s investigators not doing well in this game.
But they weren't even the same build though. Like it's so obvious that they're not the same person, even if the face is mutilated.
And it's like Karnov, like, he spent his last moments trying to fight against the demon Dawn. No such action from Dawn.
Well, I was surprised he didn't die after he got stabbed by Gaston, because the demon leaves his body and that's when he starts fighting. Whereas with Dawn, he just straight up dies. There's no
Yeah, and it
time for
looks
him
like they
to.
both had kind of similar levels of fatal injuries happen to them, which is stabbed directly through the chest.
Oh, Dawn got a massive axe through his entire torso, so maybe
But I
that's the
mean, a
vital
pipe goes in
difference.
one side and out the other, and he
Yeah.
still managed
Well,
to crawl all the way down to the secret tomb.
I'm still confused by why his body didn't go into the hole in the ground like with
Oh, it
Dawn.
wasn't there yet when he. Oh, the hole in the ground there. I thought you meant the hole in the stairs.
No, no, I'm talking about the when Dawn's body gets taken to wherever the hell it
Where
goes.
did Don's body go?
I guess he was the sacrifice that they mentioned
Maybe.
so that the demon can be released. But I mean, the demon killed a lot of people, so I don't know.
I don't know. Also, like demon possessed people seem to still be very jealous because, like, Dawn thought that the delivery man was not the delivery, the telephone man was hitting on his wife, and Carno was really angry about Gaston going out with his wife.
Yeah, that's why I'm unsure what Roberta Williams is trying to do with how in control they are of themselves.
One thing is like with Dawn, it's complete paranoia, but with Karnov, he's actually 1,000% right, and she is cheating on him. And then she goes, "He'll kill me like all the rest." So you know that he killed his last several wives, and yet you're still cheating on him
Why didn't she run away with Gaston earlier?
because he'd find her. That's what she
was
says.
never really explained on like, okay,
She could have gone to the
oh,
police.
like
The
Why
bodies
did
are
you
still on
marry
the
this
estate.
multiple murderer?
Yeah, what'd you see in him? I'm what like I don't
I mean,
understand how he got all these women to marry
they're
him
all from
aside
the
from
theater
money.
circuit.
Yeah, they mentioned that, but was it money? Like, what's going on?
I have to assume it was money, but I don't know. And then the fact that he's like, I never want to see Gaston again, while Gaston is currently assisting with the magic trick that he's doing. Like,
Yeah, I feel like there are some inconsistencies in this script, and that Roberta Williams
hmm
was very like, "I'm doing an adult horror game. It's gonna be great," and then nobody looked at the script to make sure everything made sense.
oh my gosh, that
Like
bizarre
with
Scottish man that you sent me.
yeah, that weird continuity issue where Mike the repairman gets killed at night, and then the next chapter, the final chapter, takes place like at 3 p.m. that same day,
Well,
and it started at 9:20 a.m. in chapter 6.
my
So,
explanation for that is that between the time that he grabs you and you're strapped to the chair, a lot of time passes and he goes around and commits murders.
well, that's not true because that can't be the case because chapter 6 ends with the repairman being killed, right? Right after saying goodbye to Adrian,
That's true.
and then we cut to yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It just comes off as a glaring continuity issue. Like they didn't want to make a new background or something.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
That's understandable. And can we talk about Cyrus, the one scene where he like knocks over the tree and he's like, I'm real strong, check it out. And like Adrian feels his muscle and is like, ooh. Like that's a vibe. I'm getting a vibe with Cyrus and Adrian that I was not getting with that by the way, incredibly hunky telephone repair guy. Like he was buff and
right?
he either had the sleeveless shirt or he had very tiny sleeves. I forget which. But like it felt like he was from like a porno or something. He's like, yeah, I'm here to fix the phone. And then he
I
maybe it's a cameo from Soft Porn Adventure that we don't know about because we
oh
haven't
gosh.
played that and I don't intend to. So
No, nobody needs to play Soft Porn Adventure. It was remade into
yeah,
Leisure Suit Larry. So like
yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna play it, play Larry in the Land of the Lounge Lizards, because at least that has pictures. They're not sexy pictures, but it's got pictures. Oh my gosh! But he's installing one tiny corded telephone right next to the door of this like palatial house. Can you imagine like you're upstairs in the conservatory and you hear the phone ringing and you have to go all the way down there?
Okay, I have to say something. So, you guys are talking about a couple of people's deaths. I didn't
Mhm.
get to see that in my game through. I'm
Oh, did
like
you not look in all
quickly
the
going
mirrors?
through my. I but like every time it was just her looking at
Oh no,
herself. It
it's
must have
only in
just
like chapter 5 that the mirrors are actually special. And that's why I wondered why there was such a long video of looking at the
wow.
mirrors and all the other. It's either chapter
I
5 or 6.
know. I was like,
I
are we
think
that conceited? Like, just look at like every time. Like,
yeah.
I didn't understand. Like, what was the point of looking at them? Now it makes sense because
Yeah, you
then
were
some of the
supposed to see the
mirrors.
murders in the mirrors. Or at least okay,
Yeah.
so the greenhouse one you see when you find the trowel. The alcoholic wife you see when you look in the mirror in the dining room. The wife
That one
that
I saw.
oh, the wife that gets force fed you see in the room with the phonograph. And the electric like, oddly enough, it's the room with the electric chair, but nobody gets killed by the electric chair. And then the upstairs, like, attic, you look in the mirror there, and you see the woman who gets her head twisted off.
Okay.
So which
Yeah, because that contraption is in the attic, so that makes
yeah, but
sense.
you have to look in the mirror in that chapter to see what they and he stuffs a handkerchief in her mouth because he says she's always talking, and then he twists her head like,
Mm,
I don't quite see the connection. It's like, "You're always talking all the time, so I'm gonna break your neck." It's like, that's not really an ironic connection, that's just
mm.
yeah,
I
it's
think
just like
maybe that's kind of a problem with the game because, like I said, like I tried to explore every aspect in the first chapter. So, like
oh, yeah, but,
certain
like, stuff
places, like
only
there
works
was
in
no,
certain times.
yeah. So, like if you wanted to, like if you wanted the player to actually like see that happen, like certain scenes, because like I'm missing some of the scenes that you guys are talking about.
I mean, real talk, I used to walk through because I didn't trust myself to figure out what the fuck I was supposed to do in this game.
That's fair.
Well, like, I got to the point where I couldn't get the letter opener, and then I was like, "That's it, I'm checking a walkthrough." Because Hintskull until chapter 7, Hintskull is useless. Hintskull is like, "Find an implement." Like, "What? What? Hintskull?"
Yeah, I can
Uh,
agree with
Do you,
that.
do you know what the MSRP for Phantasmagoria was?
oh god, was it like $90?
$70 was the typical price, and 80 in some stores.
Oh gosh. I mean, games were super expensive in the 90s. Like Donkey Kong Country was $72 at retail.
That's so expensive.
Earthbound was 90 bucks. And but it came with a strategy guide, but still. And apparently Chrono Trigger was like 80. Like RPGs were really expensive because they didn't think they would sell like a huge volume, I guess. So they wanted to try and make it back.
Mhm.
I never beat Chrono Trigger.
But you have
Wait, they're in a
completed
small town in
Phantasmagoria.
New
Yeah.
England?
Well, yeah, it's
The
called
fuck?
Nipawasset or something. It's definitely an old Indian name, and there's a lighthouse. Like, where did you think they were?
Yeah, that I don't know, like some white taking over territory because like the I'm sorry, I need to stop. I
It's like
was like,
Nipawamset is definitely a New England sounding town because like I'm from there's a place called Papanesset right near where I grew up, and Waquoit, Mashpee, like all the little villages where I grew up have old Indian names, old First Nations names. You know,
I
the
see, that makes
Wampanoag had their
sense.
reservation right near where I grew up, so
Mm,
they had a powwow every year.
nice.
And it's like there's a
Yeah,
presence in New England.
I'm just looking at the plot on IMB
Like,
I
I think it
am
was very clearly New England. They had a giant striped lighthouse. Like,
true, that is true. I just like just there's certain things that are just like I just need it spoon fed just
like New England is like the place where these
so
types of mysteries take place because like every Stephen King book takes place in either Maine, and every H.P. Lovecraft story is in Massachusetts or Rhode Island. And then like
mhm.
what do you call it? Cabot Cove, Maine is where Murder She Wrote takes place.
Mm.
It's like New England is where people get murdered. That or like actual England for like Miss Marple.
See. I don't
So
know, what do you guys
Phantasmagoria.
th-
Oh wait, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what do you guys think of the ratings, like via like like the review ratings? Do you think it's
I haven't
justified?
I haven't seen many. Did it get good reviews? Bad reviews?
I'm just look.
Um, Hmm.
Be on IMDb and like just Google, I guess on Steam, like the out of 8 out of 10s,
Because I
which I
feel like
think.
this is a game you can't really judge by modern standards. Because in 1995, this was pretty cool. I think. Because like remember Mario 64 was like a year away. Like game graphics were not at a level yet. Like a concurrent game to this would be like Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. That came out
Mhm.
the same year. Actually, Earthbound came out this year, and Earthbound looked like garbage even for the time. Uh,
So I'm looking at contemporary reviews, and
Mm.
it was mixed. Was the
Oh.
response like on
Okay.
if you go on Metacritic on the Wayback Machine where they have older reviews, it comes out to a 62.
sure.
Mhm.
Was the
But the
sequel
game
better
was
reviewed?
successful. No, it was way worse. It got reviewed way worse.
Because the thing is, like, when I was reading the making of this game, and it was talking about how they were budgeted at 800,000, and they ended up spending like millions.
4.5 million.
They had a 500-page script. They built a studio. I thought this is all like setting up. This is like a Pride Before the Fall cautionary tale type story. But then it's like, and then it was one of the best-selling games in 1995.
They made
Like,
12 million the first week.
I was really shocked by that. I didn't think the game was a big hit because, like, I knew Sierra. They didn't last much longer. Like
Mhm.
97, I think, was the end of Sierra. When did Half Life come out? Wasn't that 97?
98.
Okay, because like Sierra didn't last that much longer than the late 90s.
Sierra was defunct by 2008.
That's a broad window. I guess Sierra was around longer than I thought. Like
Yeah, the
adventure games weren't
one of
really.
their last games was Time Shift, which I've played, and that was 2007.
Was it an adventure game?
No, it was a first person shooter.
Oh, so did they stop with the adventure games in the 90s, and that's what I'm thinking of?
Yeah, pretty much. They stopped.
Because like King's
Yeah.
Quest and Space Quest and Leisure Suit Larry, there were like 8 of those games each series. Like there were tons and tons of sequels to all of those games. Even Gabriel Knight, which was made after this, there were like 3 of those.
Let me check. I think there are more actually.
I wouldn't be surprised. But like at least one Gabriel Knight game, which is like it's about this investigator of the paranormal or whatever in New Orleans, used this same like live action footage uh concept. I don't think it was the first one. I think it was like the second Gabriel Knight game did this.
And the effort, because I was trying to look up a trailer for Phantasmagoria, because like my boyfriend wanted to know what I was playing for today's podcast, and I sent it to him, and I was watching it too, and yeah, just like a lot of effort
Was
went
this
into this
that
game. Like
Scottish man
you can
doing the
clearly
preview?
see preview.
Wait,
No, that video that Augustine sent me, or he
yeah,
sent me a video of like a
I
Scottish
sent.
man doing a preview. I was wondering if
Yeah,
that was the trailer you saw.
he was interviewing people for the game. He says, didn't he claim that the actors begged him to interview or something?
Yeah, and then he said that they promised that they wouldn't be doing cheesy acting like other FMV games. But no, I guess that's not what you watched. But a lot of effort you were saying, Jessica.
Nothing. I just really appreciate. Yes, like I know we're shitting on it because like the graphics and all
Like,
that, and
but for
like my
1995, it was
thing.
really impressive.
Mhm. My biggest thing annoyance though is just the clicking, the constant clicking. Like you're clicking the item. Like let's say you're clicking the key for the door. You have to click the door again to like something like as stupid as that. It's like why do I have to keep like clicking just to get to something I'm already interacting with? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty indicative of what other adventure games are
I think
like.
they were
Actually, other
afraid that
adventure
like a
games are
text
worse.
parser would scare people away, or like because like the other adventure games, you had to type in what you wanted to do, or you had like a bunch of words you could click on, like look, and then you would click on the look button, and you would click on the thing.
Yeah, it was
Mm.
basically guesswork. So this game is actually a lot more streamlined and
Like the
playable
thing
than
that
older adventure
adventure
games.
games are like infamous for is what they
Mm.
call troll logic, where the puzzles are like insane, and you have to like in Gabriel Knight, you had to make a fake mustache out of like a band-aid and some hair in order to disguise yourself as somebody else who did not have a mustache. and it's like the level
And
of
What?
look, do you
yeah.
want me to tell you what the first puzzle is in Phantasmagoria 2?
Tell us.
You're trying to find your wallet, right, in your apartment, and it's underneath the couch, right?
Hmm.
So what would you
Okay.
do? What would you do if your wallet was underneath your couch and you couldn't reach it by just going down? Like what would you do?
Play
Stick
poker.
and like that's what I try to do for the key. Oh my god. So the
Oh, I
key to
didn't
the third
understand that fucking key
floor.
thing. Like the walkthrough just told me put the newspaper under the door and then knock out the
Oh
key, and I
yeah,
was
that
like,
was
but
one of the
why?
worst sections of the whole game because it was so fucking weird. Like, yeah, it didn't make
Yeah,
sense
like
much sense to me either.
my first playthrough, I just like, oh yay, I have this nail. Now I can try maybe piggyback or push back that key that's stuck in the lock. So I did that first, and then the key was just on the floor. So I was like, okay, no problem. I can just go ahead and grab it with my hand. Okay, can't do that. All right, what about the fire poker? Nothing was working. And then that was the second time. No, yeah, first time. I think that was like one of the two times I actually had to look up a walkthrough because I was like, I cannot get this fucking key. And apparently, do the newspaper first, then the fucking nail, and that really pissed
Wait,
me
did
off
you
because
have
I
to reload
basically,
because you hadn't put the newspaper in?
yep, I had to restart that chapter. I was very
Oh
pissed
god.
off.
I do
Right.
like that you can
So
just
Mhm.
start from whatever chapter.
back to the couch from Phantasmagoria 2.
Yes, how do you
So
solve it?
instead of just moving the couch, right? Because it's not even a particularly heavy looking couch. What you do is you
Mhm.
get your pet rat and you put some chocolate underneath the couch or something like that. So some food, and then the little rat gets the wallet for you.
The fuck?
Exactly. So this man has trained his rat to grab wallets and shit. Like what?
Keep his
Wh-
wallet in
Why
his
would you,
pocket?
why would you ever not just move the couch? Why would you get your rat to get your wallet?
Is legit
But
the way to figure out that first puzzle.
that's the only way to solve that puzzle. It's
Wow.
just guesswork. There's no clue like, hey, I've trained my rat for this or something. Um, but yeah, I haven't played the second game, but I have seen like a playthrough of it, and I think it's actually more entertaining than the first game. Like for
Mm,
bizarre shit that happens. There's a lot more sex stuff in it, but thankfully it's all consensual. Uh,
okay.
yeah, a lot of BDSM type stuff. But it's also about aliens, so no more supernatural stuff.
I mean, I
But
kind of got a BDSM type vibe from all this tying up in
yeah,
the death scenes.
I can see that. But they do
You know
mention
what? There's
Adrian in the
some.
sequel.
Oh, how's she doing?
She wrote a book about grief,
Good for
about
her.
like working through grief.
Was it a big hit?
Yes.
Okay,
So
nice.
at least Adrian is moving on with her life.
She has not been charged with the murder of all those people in that house.
I'm pretty sure they charged her husband with all that, thankfully.
Mm,
But he's
Even though
dead.
what
How could
happened
they
to and
charge him?
where's his body? That's what I want to
Right?
know. Maybe
Mm.
they arrested the realtor because he did some shady shit to sell that house. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, he seems like he'd probably be a murderer. Like, honestly, even if he didn't commit these murders, he probably committed some murders.
Because of how cartoon the character is represented as. Oh goodness. What's a name though? Phantasmagoria. Like that is a pretty cool ass name.
It
I think
is,
that's a cool name.
and that was the name of his magic show from before he got possessed.
Hmm.
I mean, it's fun to say out loud like Phantasmagoria or something, It's fun.
It is
Um,
fun, much
yeah.
more than Phantasm.
Yeah, Phantasm's a little more dull.
Yeah,
So,
where's the excitement? Where's the adventure?
do either of you know the definition of Phantasmagoria?
No, I don't. Tell us.
So it is a noun, and it's a sequence of real or imaginary images like those seen in a dream.
I mean, that
So
checks out.
yeah, that fits the game. I mean, the environments are pretty dreamlike for how weird and colorful they are.
I mean, just the way that she stands out.
Do you ever find it funny how like she'll walk around in an environment and then she's immediately like just stiff as a board, like
Oh
her
yeah, like
back is
even after
totally
she's
stiff.
like
Yes.
she's seen a horrific like it's almost like she's under like a hypnotic trance. Like she just stands there until you issue a command,
Oh, I'm so
or like she's
happy
a
the game
robot.
didn't end. I'm so happy the game didn't end with the reveal the whole thing was a dream or a premonition she had. Because remember that nightmare at the beginning?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been a shitty ending. Or I guess it could
Oh
have been a
my
premonition, and
god.
she's like, "We are not buying that shitty ass house. Like, let Harriet and Cyrus live there, but
That was
I ain't
kind of
living
how
there."
audition ended, where he woke up and it was like he went to go meet the girl for the first time after that. That's also how
Yeah.
Train Man ended. That wasn't even a horror movie. It was this whole romantic comedy, and then at the end it cut back to like the moment he was about to say hi to her on the train, and it's like, wait, what?
Wait, which movie?
Train Man. It's a Japanese romantic comedy. Just had a very
Never heard of
strange
it.
ending. Oh, it's based on a true story that happened on 2 Channel. 2 Channel is the Japanese version of 4chan, basically. And this guy said that he basically tattle told on like a is that a verb? Tattled on just like a pervert on the
Unsure.
train who was harassing this girl and got him arrested. And then like the girl to say thank you was like, "I'm gonna give you a tea set." And then he found out the tea set was really expensive, so he went on 2chan and was like, "Does this mean she likes me? She gave me this tea set." And like to this day, nobody knows if the dude was telling the truth or not. But it became this whole love story of this guy on 2chan posting updates about how like he went out with the girl and now they're getting along, and it turned out she got the tea set at a discount, so it wasn't really special, but he was such a great guy that they got together and they made a movie and they made a TV show and they made a manga. Like it's ridiculous, just a random forum post became this whole thing. But we're getting off topic here, but the end of the movie is like you see them together at the end and then it cuts back to them on the train and him thinking about whether or not to say hi, and it's like,
Mm.
so did none of that ever happen?
No idea.
No, nobody knows. But so many movies end with like some nonsense like that. Yeah. I think that this has at least opened the door for me, showing me I can play non-Mac games on my Mac. So that's something.
Will you be playing more adventure games?
I might. I mean, honestly, adventure games, it's like they're maddening without a walkthrough, and then when you have a walkthrough, what's the point? It's the same with like the original Zelda or like Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
But see,
Like
I
adventure
this
game.
this game's not quite the same just watching a playthrough on YouTube though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that the experience of having to click and occasionally like figure out what to do uh
Have to
is better.
experience being irritated.
Yeah, but sometimes the irritation turns to satisfaction if it was something where that actually makes logical sense, you know? Like,
Hmm.
oh, I can figure this out. But stuff like that newspaper and the key, that was bullshit. that was that was just stupid.
That was well, and you said like use the eye. You literally only have to use the eye for the the letter opener. That was
Well,
the only
apparently you
time I
have to use
used
it for the
it.
brooch too, right?
Yeah, so that you can cut yourself at the very end. So you only use
Oh,
it in
I
the
just
beginning
put
and the end, potentially.
oh, I only put the brooch. I only used it at the end. Like I had Skull Man tell me what it was, looked at it. That was it. And then like I didn't look at it again till like towards the end of the game when it was like, oh, you have to bleed yourself. It's like, well, might as well prick our finger. Let's try that. And that ended up working. I
See,
didn't have to like do anything else
I
with
just
it.
died and went to the walkthrough, and the walkthrough told me go back and get the glass, so I had to quit out and do the whole thing again. Like, man, I feel like the walkthrough failed me.
Glass in the baby's room? I
Yeah, there's
don't
just a
remember
piece of
seeing
broken
any
glass in the.
glass.
You only see it in chapter 7.
My God, that's dumb.
I mean, there's no way you would know unless you're just looking around.
Like, let's say like you weren't playing
No.
now, right? Let's say back then you were playing it, like you would have to start that all over, right?
Yeah. Oh, and remember,
You
I was
didn't
seeing
get
forum
the
posts
stuff.
from 1995. Like, so even back then, people were getting stuck and going online
Well,
and asking for help.
but look, if you and also a lot of people didn't have internet at the time either. They might have a computer, but it may not have been connected. So the real thing, the real point is that if you got stuck, you could pay money to call the Sierra helpline, and they would just tell you the solutions.
I mean,
That's how
Nintendo had
adventure
that
games
same
make
thing.
money.
Nintendo had
Wow.
Yeah,
that
that's
exact same thing.
yeah, but it was definitely there for adventure games. Like all the adventure game companies had helplines. You would pay money, and they charge you by the minute.
Oh my
Like,
God,
let
does
me
that
see how much
really
Sierra.
happen?
The
Yeah,
Sierra
people would
hint
just get
line.
so frustrated. They'd be like, "Fuck, I want to beat this game.
And
I'm
there
willing
was
to
a
pay
term
money."
that they would call Nintendo hard, not for adventure games, for Nintendo games, where they would intentionally make it so difficult that you had to call and ask for help.
How
So let's
ridiculous.
see. How much would they charge you back then? Man, but just imagine like having to call a number and be like, "I'm stuck in chapter 6 of Phantasmagoria. What do I do?"
Well, they tried to play it, at least at Nintendo, like everybody who answered the phone was like a game expert, but I feel like they all just had a book of like guides
Oh
that they were
no, it
looking.
really was just a guide.
Because
Yeah,
like my
they were
God,
trained.
like the first Zelda is such an obtuse game.
Okay, so you know how much they would charge according to this link I found? It would be 75 cents for the first minute, 50 cents for every other minute.
Nope. Nope. I want a refund. Return. Oh my
So
God,
imagine
that's
that you're stuck in
ridiculous.
in a 10-minute conversation. They just got $10 out of you
And he's just
almost.
like, "So what's going on, guy? How's your life happening?"
Right. Just start off with, "Hi, how are you? My name is Mark. How can I assist you? What is your..." Just like get to the point. I am stuck. Okay, sir, what game are you playing? Can you tell me the model? Which store did you buy it? Like, I
Uh,
cannot imagine. No. Nope.
and then I mean strategy I mean they still publish strategy guides, but at least you get some art, you know? They might double as an art book. But like a helpline, you're just paying to talk to some guy to tell you what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. I don't know. I like adventure games, but I generally don't seek most of them out because I think most of them are kind of trash overall as far as gameplay. Like I need one that actually has like a decent plot. I wouldn't say Phantasmagoria has a decent plot. It's like a pretty standard horror film
I
kind of deal.
mean, Sierra Online, they have the mean adventure games that kill you if you mess up, and LucasArts, they're usually a little nicer.
And funnier, like intentionally,
Yeah, like they did
usually.
Maniac Mansion, which oddly enough had a TV show adaptation.
It did?
Yeah, it did. And as far as I can tell, it didn't have very much to do with the game at all, but it existed. It was on for a little bit.
Okay, I'm checking this out. Because, I mean, stuff like Sam and Max got a TV show adaptation. And,
Oh, yeah. You know, Sam and Max, the
yeah.
comic was from like the late 80s, even though the game didn't come out until the early 90s.
Uh,
Like Sam and Max was an
was
existing
it based
property.
on the video game?
The comic?
It says, oh no, the Maniac Mansion. It says it was very loosely based on the 1987 game.
Like there's a character with the same name, I think, as one of the characters from the game, and that's about it. But like,
So basically, it has nothing to do with it.
yeah, LucasArts was Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle. They did the Monkey Island games. People liked those. And then Sierra was like the Quest games. We got Space Quest, King's Quest. I'm sure there were more. Was Bard's Quest them, or was that Tale of a Bard? Is this a real game? Did I make that up?
Bard's Tale is a real series,
Bard's Tale. That's
but
not Sierra, I don't think.
it might have been LucasArts. It's because there are a lot of companies that made games back then that no longer exist or were bought out by other corporations. So it's sometimes hard to remember who did what,
Well, who
especially
knows
since
what
none of
Sierra?
us were alive back in the 80s during their heyday.
Well, I mean, I think Sierra's heyday. Well, yeah, Sierra's heyday was the '80s, but LucasArts, it was like mid '80s to the '90s because Grim Fandango was like '98.
Bard's Tale was Interplay.
Oh, Interplay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's a genre that kind of died. You know, the genre of adventure games. I mean, they still make some of them, but they're all like throwbacks, homages. Like they did Thimblewood Park or something recently.
Thimbleweed Park. Yeah.
Thimbleweed Park.
I think
Yeah,
it sold best on Switch actually, compared to every other platform it was released on.
well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's good.
indie
Oh,
games seem to sell a lot better on Switch than they do on anything else.
I mean, I like playing indie games on Switch. I loved Bug Fables on Switch. Speaking of which, Jessica, have you checked that out?
I have not played that yet.
It's really fun. It's a lot like Thousand Year Door. It doesn't look as nice,
Yes.
but
Oh, but if it's got like the same like
You
style and like sort of plot and I'm for it. Why not?
yeah, and it's also like less than a gig, which is amazing to me. It's like a full RPG that's less than a gig.
Now, you know what's another good RPG that recently got a re-release on GOG?
What?
The Blade Runner adventure game.
Wait, is it an RPG or an adventure game?
No, it's a point and click.
Oh,
Now
is it
that one's
like
pretty
live
good.
action footage?
No, it's Voxels.
Voxels. Well, that's
Yep.
weird.
It
Like
actually
Minecraft?
looks it still looks really good actually.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually a really good game. It really it's set at the same it's parallel to the original movie. Let me get some let me get a photo or something. And also it's got this weird thing where every time you start a new game, the plot changes. So in
Really?
one you might be a replicant and in the other one you're not. And
What a trick.
who's a replicant and who's not changes too.
But like, okay, Jessica still hasn't seen Blade Runner, so I feel like we're locking her out of this.
Wait, Jessica, you haven't seen Blade Runner like the original?
No, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. She hasn't seen Blade Runner.
No. It's a
I mean,
shame.
maybe that should be our next episode. Just all go and watch Blade Runner.
We can argue about how boring the original is.
I mean, it's all right. It gets
It's
dull
okay.
at times.
I don't think it's as good as people say it is. I think it's more interesting to think about than it is to watch overall. Even though visually it's really really nice. Much nicer than Phantasmagoria, that's for sure.
I don't know. I think with after going through Phantasmagoria, uh, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think Connor, you pointed it out in one episode. It's like you've been dealing with it for so long, you just kind of have to love it at this point.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
because I mean,
saying?
it's like it's a 4 hour playthrough, which for a game isn't that long, but for like for like a movie, that's a long time.
Hmm.
But still 500 pages for that script is crazy to me.
Yeah, maybe it was very descriptive.
I guess, but how much of it actually got incorporated as far as those descriptions? I
I
mean,
don't know, maybe a lot,
who
maybe a
knows?
little.
Well, maybe it was describing each room because technically each room was like somewhat different. So it could be that. And then on top of that, too, you had to talk about the different murders of the wives and that back plot story as well. So I can technically see it being 500 pages. I could see it. Is it realistic? I don't know.
Oh no, I wouldn't call the mansion realistic, like at all. It's pretty out there. I mean, what's your opinion, Connor, on
Well,
the
I mean,
realism of the mansion?
yeah, it's a 1995 3D render. It looks about as good as a 3D render from that time would look. I remember when Toy Story came out that same year, I thought the dog looked completely real. And now I go back and I look at that movie and I'm just like, how did I ever think this?
I mean, it still looks pretty good, but you can tell why they picked toys instead of real people for that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there are only a few characters that are human, just Sid, Andy, and a shot of his mom, basically.
Yeah.
And his sister, baby.
Was she in the first movie?
Yeah, she was. Only
The
a little
baby,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah. She sees them in the rearview mirror during the big escape scene at the end.
Oh, I see.
And I mean, this is shorter than any other episode, but have we said all that we can say about Phantasmagoria?
Um, I think so. I mean, is there anything else to add? It's an FMV title. I mean, I guess what are our conclusions? Like, what do we out of 10? What would you rate this game?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of on a different level than any other game I've played. I don't really play a lot of adventure games. I'm gonna let Jessica go first.
But what is the difference? Maybe, and again, noob over here. What is the difference between an adventure game and then just a regular RPG? Like,
Well, like in an
that down
RPG,
for me.
there would be battles. There would be usually you have direct control over your character in an RPG, and then there would be like battle
Right.
sequences. You can deal with your stats. There's a lot more direct interaction in an
Mhm.
RPG, and then like an adventure game, you just kind of click on stuff, and your character you don't really directly control them. You kind of click them around, and you combine items together and use items on other things. It's like every game genre is nebulously defined, but like I don't know what
Right.
RPGs have you played? Paper Mario? Any other ones?
Um,
Final Fantasy or
I've played Kingdom Hearts. I've played, Knights of the Old Republic,
all right, yeah.
Skyrim,
So like
Fallout.
those are
So
all
I
very
guess
few of those are
that's
turn
my,
based.
yeah.
But yeah, but you're
Um,
running around fighting stuff in those games. You don't do anything like that in an adventure game. You just kind of walk around and click
mhm.
on
I
stuff.
I guess this game actually, you know what, now that you put that into perspective, it reminds me of this other game I've played. It's a computer game. I can't. Sorry, hold on. I'm
Hmm.
gonna type in the. Oh, have any of you guys ever played Mystery Case Files?
Is that a Nancy Drew game?
Ravenhurst? Here, I'll plug it in right now. Give me a second. I'll plug in an image. It's kind of like you have to like click and find stuff, but it also has like a story, like a backstory to it. Like you're trying to figure out the like murder, the why the ghosts are there, and all that stuff.
Is this it here with the untie and the? No, no, this is from Augustine. What is this that you've sent us? Is this Blade Runner?
Okay, so the top two are Blade Runner, right?
Uh huh.
So that's how the game looks like. All the characters are voxels. They did like a weird post processing thing, so it could run on really low end machines and still look good.
Hmm.
And then there is the bottom is a modern FMV game that came out this July called Death Come True.
Ooh, Death
So
Come
yeah,
True.
all shot
But I
on
gotta
location.
say, it looks like Mystery Case Files is definitely an adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. What does it say in Wikipedia's article? It says genre adventure, puzzle, hidden object, which all seem kind of like different ways of saying the same thing.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah.
because like part of the biggest part of the game is like look at the last picture I just sent. Like you have to find basically find the things hidden in the picture,
Oh,
and
it's a mystery object game, right? Like find the item.
yeah, like you have a list of items you have to find in this
Oh,
picture.
I remember the exact genre name, hidden object game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like a hidden object game and an adventure game seem pretty similar because you're just clicking all over the place in an adventure game too.
Yeah, you're pixel hunting
Mhm.
either way.
Also, woman tied up in the image you sent us, Augustine. What is this recurring theme in all of these games?
Of being well, a
Specifically,
lot of
women getting
adventure
tied up.
games, no idea, but a lot of adventure games are usually set in like a closed off location, and usually people getting,
Mm.
kidnapped. So that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Like in 999, where
Kidnapped,
everybody's
held
in a death game.
hostage.
Yeah, you're trying to
Mhm.
escape, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just getting big funnels put in your mouth. People putting prop prop guts.
Mhm.
Uh,
Another one. Yeah, just
that
people like, being
I
held
think
against
maybe
their
we should,
will.
because you didn't see that death scene, did you, Jessica? So I think for context, maybe we should just send you the YouTube of that right now. Let me see if I can find it.
Of a witch death scene.
The funnel one, or maybe just all of them. I mean, how long will it take? Like a minute? Like they're all short.
Yeah,
All
they're not
Yeah,
long.
I think
This
I
says
only
all
just
deaths, but is
missed
this all of Adrian's
2.
deaths? All right. What was the? I'm gonna. I don't know how to search for a specific one.
Maybe by the wife's actual name.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't. I think Leonora was the one who got the.
The
Which?
head turn, yes.
Yeah. So did you see the head turn one, or did you? Which ones did you see?
No, I only saw the greenhouse murder, the bottle in the head, and then of course I think everyone sees Marie's murder.
Right, and she was the one who was in the chair. Regina's death. Which one's Regina? Oh, here we go. This is the one. Regina's the one who gets the funnel. So here we go. This is just for so
Mm.
that we all know what's going on. And then this is Regina. And who was the one who was an alcoholic? Do you remember, Augustine?
I don't
I
remember
saw
the
that.
name.
You saw the with the bottle?
Yeah, I saw
Oh,
that
so
one.
the head twist is the one you didn't see. Head twist. What was up with the case of cigarettes? Was that important?
I don't recall it being important.
Like I found it
It
and I
was
couldn't
just
do
something to
anything with it.
click on.
And so I just put it back. Huh. Oh my god, this one video says brutal FMV game. It's like it wasn't that brutal. Come on. Jeez, I'm trying to find
Is
the
he speaking Latin
what
or
to the wife. No, she's just speaking normally. He's just gonna feed her random things.
no? The language sounds different.
Oh, it does. I haven't. I just sent it to you. I didn't. It was in English when I watched it. Okay, here we go. This is all the deaths. So you want to skip to 155 to see the head twist one of this one.
Oh yeah, the one you sent me is
It's not in English.
a different language.
Okay,
Yeah,
so don't worry, all is not lost because you can go to 2
basically
minutes
like shoved all that
and
shit down
actually yeah, it's
her.
right after. Go to 155 and just keep watching and it'll go right from the head twist one to the funnel one, both in English. You'll be all set.
All right.
And then
I
all
do like the chorus added onto it too. That is a nice touch.
yeah, are you at the head twist part right now?
It's on right now.
Yeah. And this guy put like a weird puppet in the foreground for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get that either. But if you go to about 10 minutes into the video, you'll get the scenes where you find the bodies.
All right, I'm going to do that now.
10 minutes, 10 seconds into the video.
10 minutes, 10 seconds. So
You
now
you
we'll
get
all
to
know.
see the possible.
This is the
Yeah.
thing, like the game is 4 hours long and the gory death scenes all strung together come up to 12 minutes. Like
Yeah, but I can see what they were going for there. It could be more effective since the game is mostly just in an isolated mansion walking around. with nothing much happening.
Oh god, I kept dying when he was strangling me over the chemicals because I didn't know I was supposed to click on something.
On the Drano, on
Yeah.
the sulfuric acid
I
that
guess
he
that was
really
the
wanted.
phone guy that she found first. Oh no,
Yeah.
it's Cyrus.
All right, now I'm watching the end trails, but I feel like I already watched it. I don't really need the
Well, yeah, but you get him
language. What
describing what
did
But
you
it
say to
is.
go to?
uh 10 minutes, 10
Oh,
seconds to see the bodies of the other characters that you can potentially see if you run around. But yeah, I'm still unsure whether because the only way to beat the game is to not find the bodies, basically, because you need the book. Um, is this like a Schrodinger's cat situation? Like if you don't find the bodies, they didn't die.
I don't know. I just got to let's order pizza with extra sauce, and my god.
is he just like choking her out with the tripe?
Yeah, I guess. It doesn't seem like it would kill her.
Oh, I mean, I would throw up in my mouth, but yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, a
you
lot
would
of people
probably
eat
I
choke
might.
tripe.
on it.
I was
It's like,
gonna
are
say
those
choke on
parts
my
of the
own
human that he
vomit.
also killed, or are they?
I think there's just supposed to be animal entrails.
And then, like the part where the demon rips Adrian's face apart. Did you see that? You only see that if you fuck up during the chase, but it's like that is probably the goriest they get. But then it cuts right back to her face not being ripped apart, and it's like, wait,
Okay, we're in the. Yeah, we did not see Mike fall out. Oh, slips like that. That was weird. Just add this. Oh wow. Why not just add this when you're here? He's chasing you after you escape the chair. Like, why not add these death scenes in there?
I don't know. I mean,
Uh,
it really seems like you should have seen this stuff. And also, can we talk about the fact that like every female character that dies gets like this extended gory scene, even Harriet with the head cut off, and then the guys just kind of flop onto screen and like, bloop.
Yeah, we don't even see Gaston get mutilated. We just
Yeah.
see the aftermath.
And it's like I don't know. The game was written by a woman. What does that tell us? Probably nothing.
Mm, who knows?
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. We didn't get to see those deaths.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's important to the story. Like if your villain kills three people, well, you do see him kill
Mm.
the telephone guy. Like the telephone guy
Yeah,
is
but that
like
was expected. Like that was like
he's the equivalent of Dick
expected.
Halloran in The Shining. You know
You
the
guys were saying something about fuck. I was saying you guys were talking while I was watching it, and I was gonna add something, and now it flew away.
what was
Fuck.
it?
No.
Was it about the ordering pizza with extra sauce?
No.
God, what is that even? I guess the blood is sauce. Like
Yeah, I'm
okay,
assuming it's the blood. Yeah.
oh man,
John is just crazy.
Yeah, half his face is burnt off, and he's still like, "Yeah, let's have some pizza."
I mean I like pizza. I don't know. I kind of want to see what Pushing Up Roses has to say about Phantasmagoria because she's the next recommended video I have here. She's one of the very few YouTubers that does like reviews of old adventure games. She makes them sound
Oh,
Mm.
very interesting, but then I play them and they're maddening and I get upset and I don't finish them.
well, I mean, she's in her what, late 30s, I think.
I don't know. I thought she was
So
about my age, so like early 30s.
no, I think she's a little older, well, a few years older than you. So I think that's probably why she's more familiar with these games.
Yeah.
She played them at the time.
Yeah. It's like she and the guys that made Homestar Runner are kind of like the only people on the internet today who are stumping for the old adventure games. Like I think the genre
There's
is
a
dead.
movie.
What?
Oh, I was gonna say there was a. I was trying to see if there was a movie made after, like an actual movie.
Well, someone
There
edited
is a
together a
movie.
fake movie. What?
Oh, I was gonna say there was technically a trailer for Phantasm, but it's like an anthology with like 3 different stories that came out in 2015.
Oh,
Have you
because
guys seen
someone
it?
I haven't.
No.
Someone edited together a
I
fake
haven't seen it
movie
either.
out of all the cutscenes, but only the FMV. So you're missing a lot of important context if you try and watch it. That's what I found out the hard way.
Oh.
Like it cuts
Is it
right.
this
So
Nintendo? Like, if you look
Yeah,
in
yeah, Nintendo Complete.
Phantasmagoria,
They're the ones that did it.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
cuts
yeah.
straight from the husband asking for drain cleaner to like the next chapter. And it's like I didn't need to see her go to the store and get drain cleaner, but I feel like we're missing some stuff if we just cut right to that.
yeah, you're not getting the full experience.
That pushing up Rose's video says Phantasmagoria, aka the story of drain cleaner.
I mean, it pops. It's important at the beginning and it's important at the end. So yeah,
I mean, I
I
thought that
can agree with
Puzzle of
that.
Flesh, I think I heard of that game first. I didn't realize it was the sequel to anything. Because it wasn't like Phantasmagoria 2. That one also written by a woman, but oddly enough, a different woman.
I think it was like Roberta Williams's protege or something.
Lorelai something. Lorelai Jones. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Let me let's fact check.
I think, like, Roberta Williams, you just want to direct porn. There's nothing
Lorelai
wrong with
Shannon.
that. If that's what you wanted to do, just
I feel
go
like
for
people
it.
don't get like gorely murdered in most porn. I don't want to make a blanket statement because I don't know, but
Maybe in like creepy hentai, yeah.
it seems uncommon. But yeah, Lorelai Shannon, she was the protege, and so she would have been like 30 when Phantasmagoria came out. So just getting handed the keys for Phantasmagoria 2.
Yeah, 2 also came out really like
96.
only a year later, yeah.
Yeah, like they were always here for sequels in Sierra Land. There were what were there like 9 King's Quests? How many of those were there?
But the second game didn't sell as well, so that's why there was no Phantasmagoria 3.
Oh, here we go. Eight King's Quests, and it spanned from 1984 to 1998. But they're being really cheeky here, and they're counting some random 1980 game called Wizard and the Princess as a King's Quest game, which I think we're gonna have to call bullshit on that.
Phantasmagoria review sponsored by Drain Cleaner. That's
Oh, drain
funny.
cleaner. God, so Roses isn't the only one making that joke. Oh, Phantasmagoria.
When I saw that for like the sulfuric acid, like I was like, are you serious?" And it just
That seems
really, I felt
pretty
really.
extreme for drain cleaner.
Well, I looked it up. That's what I was thinking because like the
Because I
only
just
time
used
I've
some liquid
seen.
plumber today and I like Googled it. I'm like, what's in liquid plumber? Not sulfuric acid, I don't think.
Well, I looked it up and I was like, the last time I've had to deal with sulfuric acid was in a chemistry lab, and like there was like precautions before we even started the lab. They were very adamant about like making sure to follow the safety when using it. But no, apparently you could buy that shit for like $30 off Amazon. The
Oh,
sulfuric acid
jeez.
drain cleaner. I know.
But
Oh
like,
wow.
I think we should take a minute though to revisit the costumes because I remember thinking that her clothes were insanely tight when I watched this game, and now knowing they're her street clothes like puts that in a new light. And like, I know the shirt's kind of baggy, but like, the pants are ridiculous, and they go all the way up to her mid waist.
That seems about right. High rise jeans in the
Yeah, I
90s?
guess they were a big thing in the 90s.
Absolutely.
And it's like at the risk of
They
being
were a big
indelicate,
thing.
like she like the shirt seems oddly tight in the chest area, and I don't know if that's just her being larger than average or if it's the shirt actually like cut in such a way. Here,
I don't know. Maybe she's just got bigger breasts. I'm
maybe.
going with that.
Who knows? And then friggin' Dawn ready to go fishing.
I mean, I didn't see anything particularly wrong with Adrian's outfit, except for the fact we didn't really change, but
Yeah, she sleeps in it.
that has already
She
been discussed. why she did
Yeah.
not change clothes. I didn't see anything wrong. It just seemed like something somebody would wear in the 90s, sneakers, high-rise jeans, and
I mean, the sneakers
any old.
are a good choice because she's running all around, and they stay like brilliant, shining white no matter how much mud she walks over.
True. I like how in Don's jeans, like when you do see his jeans, like when he's not wearing a vest, you see like I'm assuming it's a Levi's brand, but like that little brown thing that's on the back of the pants. I just thought that
Yeah,
was a
that's the
nice
one good thing about
touch.
this very low res video is they don't have to worry about the logo coming through. Nobody can read what it says. And it's
Yeah,
like
the
he
only
had
thing that
like,
was
Mhm.
I was gonna say yeah, as much as they humored me, those were the only like Harriet and Cyrus were the ones that kind of like stood out, especially in attire. Like, have they been homeless there the whole time?
They were
Like
dressed
how
like they were from
long
Grapes of
have
Wrath.
they?
Like she had like a giant wool cap, and Cyrus was wearing like overalls.
They'd been there since the
Mhm.
30s.
Yeah, and then freaking okay, so like most of the wife murders, the wife fatalities, whatever, they seem to be like based around like things that annoyed him about his wives or like moral failings of his wives. Like the one, it's like you drink too much, so I'm gonna kill you with a bottle. You spend too much time with your plants, so I'm gonna kill you with a trowel. And then like the one, it's like you eat too much, so I'm gonna. And then like it's like kind of a theming going on, sort of, but not
Mhm.
really pronounced enough to make that much out of. But yeah, it's like he's trying to do like ironic deaths, but then by the end he's just like, I'm just gonna hit you with an axe, like a
Well,
pendulum
that
sort of
one I
thing.
felt like not that we're, condoning murder or anything, but like that one is a bit more justified because
Well,
one,
because she
she's
tried to
like
kill
cheating on
him.
him and she tried to kill him exactly.
Yeah.
Again, not condoning murder, but if we're going to justify
I
like
mean, maybe he
it
wouldn't have tried
making
to kill that
sense.
last wife. Like maybe he was finally happy with a wife and he didn't need to kill her. But yeah, like it seemed like there was kind of like an ironic punishment thing going on with the deaths up until that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everything
But
else just seemed like, okay, that's a dumb reason to kill somebody, but okay.
but then Dawn didn't even try. Dawn was like, I'm just gonna strap you to the same thing that Marie was strapped to.
I think the demon was just bored after being stuck for 100 years.
Like, what would be the ironic punishment for Adrian? Like, what's her vice that could be turned into?
Something to do with her writing.
Yeah, well, he already smashed her laptop, which was like, that's mean. Laptops were expensive in 1995. Like, that was a snazzy computer she had.
She
Yeah,
was
look,
very upset about it. Like, very, I
Probably
was like,
more
damn,
upset
you're
than she
more
was
upset
about
about this.
anything else.
or about the dead bodies she can find.
Exactly.
And she's like, I
It's
can't
like,
believe Dawn did this. It's like, what?
No, she's like, it must have
what?
been someone else or something.
Yeah, he's like, Dawn wouldn't do this. Like, maybe
Which
that's a
doesn't
little bit
make.
of Roberta Williams' worldview coming through because the computer's like the most important thing to her.
Oh,
I feel like there's a
yeah.
lot of Roberta Williams in Adrian. Because in
Yeah.
an interview, she said that there is some of herself in Adrian, and it just came about naturally, is what she claims.
Oh, Roberta. The most
So just out of
influential,
touch.
yeah,
Probably.
most influential woman
Probably.
in game design. I think we can maybe.
I mean, she was there. She's been there since pretty much the start,
Has
from
she
since like
defined a whole
79.
genre? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what Ken did except like have the money.
Well, I mean, he was also the a programmer because she didn't have any experience with computers.
Oh, that's true. Oh, Ken. He can also teach us how to succeed on LinkedIn in 21 days.
That's
I'm
odd.
sure he can. I'm sure
And
he
he can give
can.
marriage advice to a young couple named like Kevin and Rachel, who's like, was that a real people he knew and he like published a book about them? Like that's kind of a passive aggressive move. And he cites
Hmm.
as his qualifications 27 years of marriage experience.
That means
So
nothing
when
to me.
yeah, everybody's marriage is different. So yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah. All right.
I think
So
that's
we
about.
we want to wrap up our
Yeah,
thoughts
I
on
mean,
Phantasmagoria.
I had a good time until the end where I had to watch those unskippable cutscenes, and that left me feeling a little miffed.
Honestly, the end was the best part because I finally got to see something happen with with consequences. Like I was expecting more like jump scares, but I didn't really feel like I got too many of that.
I mean, at the risk of sounding like a
And
psychopath, I wanted to see more of those like gory murder scenes. Like those were the interesting part.
they
Yeah, we're
were the
not.
interesting part. And it would have just made more sense to have them spread out instead of like all of it at the end. You know?
Yeah, we also don't see Cyrus and Harriet die.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, you can just potentially find their bodies. So
Kind of like an homage to Psycho,
if
the
you only
Harry.
play the game once and don't know about the permutations in that final chapter, you might not even know they died.
I mean, if you watch the movie of the final chapter that it gives you after you beat the game, does it show Cyrus
I don't know. I didn't check it out.
and then like
I didn't either.
yeah, I didn't after my bad experience with having to watch the 20-minute movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I was kind of expecting it to be more of a horror movie type thing and less of a wandering around the house very slowly type thing.
It's what we
Sarah,
call a
like I say,
slow-paced game.
It's like
I was
a guy.
expecting to be more scared, like throughout the whole time, and then it was just like nothing till the
I mean,
end.
October's a time for spooks. Is there another horror game that we ought to play instead, Augustine? I know you're a big fan of Silent Hill.
And it is on GOG now.
Can you beat Silent Hill in just a day, or is it a very long
It's
game?
6 to 8 hours, 4 or less if you know what you're doing. So I'd say 4 to 6 hours is how long Silent Hill titles are.
Because
Yeah,
I
they're
think
pretty short.
Silent Hill 2 is the one that's like beloved, right?
Yes, yes, it is. But in your case, Connor, I like Silent Hill 4 is on GOG now, but it's only Windows. There's no
Yeah,
Mac
I'm Mac. So
version.
basically, if it was on PS1 or if it was ever on Mac, I can do it. But if it's on Windows, like I tried to get Double Dragon running, and I haven't had luck so far.
Yeah, we'd have to stick to like the first game, which you could emulate, and then Jessica, you could
I don't know what
emulate
that word that
the
you just
original.
said means.
Oh yeah, emulate.
I've never heard
It's
of
a
that.
forbidden word. Forbidden word.
I only play video games that I've purchased legally on the original systems that they were made for because I'm not a coward or a pirate.
I feel the same way.
Well, I already own a
It's
copy of Silent
just-
Hill, so I feel no guilt
Um,
because I did buy the game on PS3.
PS3?
Yeah, the
I did like a
PlayStation 1
re-release.
classics. Yeah.
Yeah, my little furry friends are all sort of swarming me right now. I think maybe they're hungry.
Just recently, well, I didn't watch it. Like, I didn't sit down and actually watch it. I was watching it in parts with my
Oh,
boyfriend playing Silent. Well, he wasn't playing it. The movie Silent Hill
oh yeah, with Sean
was
Bean.
playing. Yeah, where he doesn't die. That was like
Yeah,
first
that's the
movie
only
I'd
movie he
seen where he.
survives.
Do you know why he's in the game? Why he's in the movie rather? You know why they added him?
Tell us the story.
Because the studio thought that the fact that there was no male lead was a bad move because it focused too much on the female protagonist.
I mean, there's more to
Wow.
that story in that the game had a
No,
male
but it's
protagonist.
yeah, and then the director said, "Well, Harry Mason's role in the story of trying to save his daughter is something more motherly than fatherly, so that's why he switched the protagonist to a woman in the movie."
So they started with a male protagonist, switched it to a female protagonist, and then
And
added a
then
man
complained that
because they wanted to
there
make it
wasn't a man in the plot.
and the thing is, like, you know, The Ring.
Uh-huh.
The
Yes.
interesting thing is, both the Japanese and the American Ring movies changed the male main character of the book into a woman.
Hmm.
That's interesting because, like, I thought it was pretty cool. Because again, I was just kind of like half watching it because I was like doing other things. Oh, I was getting ready to go out of town, so I was like doing laundry and stuff like that. So I was kind of like half watching it,
Hmm.
and I just thought it was cool that they did have like a lot of female roles in Silent Hill. But I've never played Silent Hill, so I don't really have any
I
context
mean,
from
the
that.
horror
Like,
genre has a surprising amount of female leads, I think, from Halloween to whoever's the last girl in every
mm.
Friday the 13th to even
I
Sigourney
guess
Weaver
that's
and Alien.
fair.
Yeah, and even Phantasmagoria with Adrian. And then
Mm,
Shelley Duvall in The Shining. Have you seen The Shining?
no.
I feel like if you see The Shining, you'll be like, "Oh, so that's what they were going for with Phantasmagoria," because it's so similar. It's
And at
incredibly
least there
similar.
they don't own the hotel.
No, they're just
They're
caretakers for
just
the winter.
caretakers, which would have made more sense, honestly.
God. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, the 5-second summary is that the family is supposed to watch this hotel that's closed during the winter. The father goes insane, may or may not be being possessed by not really a ghost, but kind of like the building itself is evil. It's not really clear. Yeah.
I mean,
Mm,
did any of you read the book?
Nope.
Okay, well, in the book, it's
no.
definitely supernatural. And then if you watch Doctor Sleep, the sequel, or read the sequel,
Isn't it like they're yeah, they're not really
the Doctor Sleep is about
they're like
vampire.
magic, right?
They're psychic vampires.
Yeah, well that's
Yeah.
unrelated to the evil hotel. Like Danny has
No,
psychic
no, they
powers.
go back to the hotel in the movie
Well, in the movie
at
it's
the
burned
end.
down. In the book they go back to the hotel.
No, no, in the you
Oh, I
have
have it
it
opposite. Shit.
opposite. In the book,
It's
it exploded, and so in Doctor Sleep, the novel, they don't go back to the hotel because it's been annihilated.
That's what kills me, is in the movie, there's a
Yeah,
very long scene where they show the family how they're supposed to work the boiler and how they have to vent it and they have to do it or else something and then, like, that
and then
never
it
pays
doesn't
off at
happen.
all.
Yeah,
Because
except in
like,
the
in the
book, it
book, that
did.
paid off with the boiler exploding, and then in the movie, it's just like, we got all the setup, we got no payoff.
Yeah, because the one who blew up the boiler was Jack. When he got some control back, he wanted to save his family.
Yeah.
So
Oh, The
he's much more
What
Shining.
sympathetic in the book than he was in the movie.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
kinda
isn't
like
the one
Dawn
with
is the
Jack
Jack. What?
isn't the
Yeah,
one with Jack Nicholson the
it
one
is.
where Stephen King is the one he was like, I did not approve. Like that's the
Yeah,
one he was just like,
he made
nope.
his own version that was apparently terrible.
No, he didn't make his
Yeah.
own version. He just approved of the TV adaptation, which isn't a
Ah.
terrible movie. Have you seen it, Connor?
No, I've only seen the Stanley Kubrick one.
Okay, it's not a terrible movie, but it's not a great movie either. It's like a 6 out of 10.
Well, is it on the level of The Langoliers, or is it, on the level of It? Talking about the Stephen
Uh,
King TV miniseries that they had. Like,
it's like on the level of it.
there was, like I'm talking, like, the It with John Ritter, not the It that was in theaters. Oh.
You mean the one with Tim
I've
Curry?
actually
Yeah, that
seen
one.
that.
Yeah, it's on the
Yes.
level with that one.
'Cause, like, there was, like, a glut in the '90s of, like, Stephen King, like, two-part miniseries. There was,
That
like
one was a four-part
oh,
miniseries,
wow.
wasn't
So
it?
No,
just
no,
Stephen King
it
miniseries.
was a two-parter, 2 hours each, and then
Oh, and they
there was
split it
the
into 4 parts for re-airings or something?
well, I don't know about that, but I know the original airing was 2 parts, 2 hours each for a
'Cause
total
we
of
had there
4.
was, like, Rose Red and The Langoliers,
Yeah,
and,
for Rose Red. Mhm.
I think they did, like, the sequel to Carrie as one of those, like, Firestarter or something. Or no, The Rage was the sequel to Carrie, and Firestarter was about an unrelated kid that could start fires.
Yeah, yeah.
The Mangler. God, like, that man had all sorts of, all
Terrible
sorts of
ideas.
yeah. The Mangler couldn't move. The Mangler was a laundry folding machine that would kill you, but only if you, like, directly fell into it. And it's
Oh,
like, it
basically
doesn't
like a
seem like it's
regular one.
possessed. Yeah, it seems like people just keep falling into it. Like, everyone around it is very clumsy is what's going on.
No OSHA compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's time for us to say goodnight. Do we have a sign off for this show?
Um, like a catchphrase?
Is
No,
our
not
previous
really.
episode up yet?
It's uploading right now. There are some issues
Okay.
with rendering, but yeah, it's uploading. It's at what does it say? 63% uploaded. It's been
Yeah, it's more
uploading
than
this whole
halfway
time
there.
we're recording. Yeah,
Oh,
should
that's
be
good
up.
then.
Should be up by later tonight, thankfully.
All right. Do we
But
have
as
a?
Did you
for
end up using all that footage
not
for the
all of
scene?
it, I used
Okay.
about 3 clips and then edited out what you wanted me to edit out related to the
Okay.
your streaming software.
What footage?
Knights of the Old Republic 2 footage.
It's a fun game.
It's much
Are
better
we
than
are we
Okay.
gonna
the
like get
Star Wars.
Phantasmagoria footage to put under this? You recorded yourself. You said, Jessica.
I did. That in that one I'm actually voicing over, but unless you want to mute it, that's fine
Well, I
too.
mean, we don't need the sound at all. We just put the video
Oh, that's
under.
right. That was stupid what I just said. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just
Never
mute the
mind.
audio. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Alright.
as
Yeah,
for
I
next
can
week,
upload it if you want.
that works
Yep.
for
We're
me.
just not gonna get all the death scenes. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean,
I
like
can record
honestly,
them.
the game is like 4 hours long, so we can just have the whole thing running during the podcast.
Yep, we can.
Well, it took me a little longer because like I was getting stuck and getting pissed off with
Yeah, I
that
cheated. I
fucking
used the walkthrough.
letter opener bullshit.
Yeah, that was some nonsense. The letter opener. Here are the three things that I got stuck on, like really stuck. The letter opener. I was supposed to find Dawn, and there was like another part of the barn that I couldn't see. And unless you wiggle your mouse everywhere to get all the arrows, like how was I to know there was another part of the barn? And then the cut yourself at the end to get the ritual.
Okay, I got stuck with the letter opener, the fucking key. Like you wiggle, like you have to put the newspaper
Oh
first
yeah, I had a
before the
walkthrough for that
nail,
part, so I can't even. I didn't know
and
what I was
then
doing or why.
and then just killing, like being killed,
Yeah.
figuring out like, because I literally was complaining the whole time in my gameplay, like, can I just like fire poker his ass? Like, especially after the rape scene, I was like, I just want to beat him with this fire poker. Can we just get on with it? Like, I'm ready to just go. And then ends up being an option when you're trapped, but then it just ends up with you dying. So
Wait, is there like footage of her attacking him with a fire poker?
you can click the fire poker to put it onto like Dawn, like when you're trapped, but he
Yeah, and
takes it
you'll hit
away
them.
from you. Yeah, it doesn't pay off. You have to use the
It's just,
snow
it's just an
man.
example of permutations during the final chase. It doesn't change anything. No matter what, you're gonna get caught.
Hmm.
Even if you use like the glass on them, it won't work. Not properly anyway. Like you can't kill them during the chase.
Yeah.
Well, as for wait, so we didn't sum up what we all individually think about it. So like out of 10, what do we uh what would you rate it?
I mean, I have very negative feelings just because of me hitting the review button and having to like leave the room where the
Okay, but
cutscenes played.
ignore the review. Ignore the review button.
I can't ignore it, but I would say maybe I'd give it a 5 or a 6 out of 10. Like it was fine. I admired the art of it, but you
Mm.
know, it's all right. 5 or 6, about average.
All right, what about you, Jessica?
I would say I would actually give it a 7 out of 10. The only things that are like the biggest thing that really hurts it is the rape scene. Like that again, I just cannot excuse that. That's just disgusting. It doesn't need to
Mm-hmm.
be at all. Point blank period. It
Agreed.
just does not need to be there.
Especially one that was
The
so
second
badly done. Yeah.
it just no, just not at all. Just no like follow if okay, if you felt like it was very needed, then there should have been a follow through up with that, like her
Mm-hmm.
like some sort of, you know what I mean, something like her telling somebody, her talking to Dot, something. We just get that scene and
Little kitty cat.
that was it.
Yeah, make it
Right. It
relevant.
just that got me
Make it actually
really
relevant
heated.
if you're gonna put
Ugh.
it in at all.
So that's the biggest thing. The second thing is like the fact that you can end up missing scenes. Like that's kind of sucky because like the whole point of like doing, I feel like, a game like this where you're trying to figure out like the backstory, you would hope that you get all of it And if you like you were saying, let's say like all the way through and I did end up seeing all the scenes of the murdered wives, but you still won't see the scenes with the Cyrus and Harriet unless you die, which is stupid. Like that should just be in it whether you win or lose. And then
Yeah,
the
that was
last
their
thing would be
version. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say, and then just the last thing is just getting stuck. That was stupid. That it's just stupid
I
shit
mean,
like
hint
that. Like
skull
that
is
is
helpful sometimes, but sometimes he just gives you nothing.
Find Dawn in
Yeah,
this
find
large ass
Dawn.
mansion
bring
of the
on.
town.
I loved Hint Skull's voice though. Like it was
It
almost like
was
an
great.
ASMR thing hearing
Did.
Hint Skull.
Yeah, things that I liked. A lot of creativity, a lot of effort put into it. Like just the backstory of like them, using a bunch of blue screens, and that you guys put into perspective, like why certain things, like she had to wear the same clothes and all. That's like a lot of effort went into it, and you can clearly see it for a game that was made in 1995. So that's my spiel on the game.
Yeah. As for me, I'm going with a 5 out of 10. But like one where I'd say the game is really memorable. Like I'm going to remember my time with Phantasmagoria. I didn't enjoy all my time
Yes.
with Phantasmagoria. I respect it more than I like it as far as well, all the effort that went into making it. I won't respect the some of the scenes in there, like that rape scene that wasn't really relevant. That wasn't relevant to anything. It
Mhm.
was trashy. Like I get they're going for a B horror movie thing, is what it seems like, but that's just.
Yeah.
So yeah, 5 out of 10 from me. I like the gore effects.
Yeah, but I would say
Um,
if you're after spooks and scares and thrills and chills and gore, like you could just watch any Nightmare on Elm Street movie and get probably a better experience.
go play Resident Evil. Go play maybe some of the newer FMV titles out there.
Watch a horror
Um,
film because
yeah,
that's
watch a
kind of what
horror
this
film.
is.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
like
much.
Wizard of Gore, honestly, to all of our listeners out there who are old enough to see R-rated films, Wizard of Gore, Blood-sucking freaks, those are the movies to seek out to get evil magicians killing people in creative ways.
Yeah, just yeah. If you're into adventure games and you want to go down, you want to see that you're going through a history of adventure games and see Roberta Williams's career. Yeah, sure, go ahead, play this. It's not long. You're not gonna spend like 40 hours on a game you
I'm
hate.
not gonna
If you
kill
don't
you
like
every
it,
5 seconds like King's Quest.
yeah, at least you can only die during the final chapter. Um, yeah. So yeah, 5 out of 10. It's all right. It's memorable, but it's not amazing or even all that good.
Yeah.
Now, as for what we're doing for next week's episode,
I
I
think
do
it's
have some options for horror games
oh,
that can play on both Windows and Mac.
what are the horror game options?
So D,
What
the
is that?
game by Kenji Eno,
Is it a very long game?
it is a 2-hour game because it's an
Oh.
enforced time limit. You have to beat it in 2 hours.
What if you don't beat it in 2 hours? Do you have to do it another two
Then
hours?
you start from the beginning. There's
That
no saving.
that sounds like it could take forever.
I
Because
mean,
Double
potentially.
Dragon takes about 40 minutes if you know what you're doing, but it took me 30 hours to beat that damn game.
If we do D, what I would say is play it, and then if you really find it frustrating, just watch a playthrough. The playthrough is going to be an hour long because it'll be people who know what they're doing.
Mm.
And
What's
it does
our
have an interesting backstory to it, and well, let's just say it also deals with controversial subject matter, but more the violent kind, and just the
okay?
general atmosphere and theme.
What's your other recommendations?
We can also look at System Shock 2.
Well, isn't that like a whole first-person shooter with a campaign and everything?
You can beat it in 7 hours.
It's a lot of hours.
That's a
I mean,
lot
not
of hours.
really.
I got a
It's a
job, man.
that is true.
Same.
True.
Like Phantasmagoria, like 4 hours. Okay, I can do that in a night for sure. 7 hours.
All right, what's
Uh...
is that it for recommendations? Are there more?
There's also the as far as horror games. Let's see. What else we can play? Alone in the Dark 1 is playable on Mac.
Yeah. What about just like a
and it's
horror
short.
film, something that we're in and we're out?
Um,
We can watch
let
a
me think.
horror movie and review it.
Yeah, horror movie.
See, there's one that I do want to watch, but it's only at drive-ins right now. It was Possessor.
Oh, what's that about?
So it is about a. It was the one done by the son of David Cronenberg.
Oh, oh yeah, is that a horror film though? I thought it was like a sci-fi thing.
It's a sci-fi horror film.
See, there's one coming out that looks really good called Freaky, where it's like it's Freaky Friday, but instead of a mom and a daughter switching places, a teenage girl and a serial killer switch places. And so like
Ugh.
the serial killer in the teenage girl's body continues to murder, and the teenage girl in the serial killer's body has to go around trying to stop, but nobody trusts him because he looks like the guy who's been killing everybody. It looks fun. It's got Vince Vaughn, and hopefully he'll redeem himself from that terrible Psycho remake he was in.
And True Detective season 2, maybe.
Oh, was that bad? I haven't seen that.
Depends on your interpretation of. Well, yeah, it's subjective, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would say is, yeah, let's do a movie for next time. Yeah, let's do a movie.
Okay.
Um,
Well, we can
any
yeah, technically retroactive a game, like give us 2 weeks to do it, and then that could be the next
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, honestly, I'm curious about Silent Hill, but I don't know how long the first one is.
It's 4 to 6 hours. It's not long. Jessica, do you know how to do you have access to Silent Hill 1 in any way?
Besides like Steam, would it be on Steam?
No, you would have to either have a disc copy and access to the PS3 version or emulation. And as
Then
far as
no.
emulation, I could help you with that. It's not hard.
Okay.
It would run on your computer.
I've never done emulation before, so yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I could help you with that if we decide to do Silent Hill. I could
Okay.
also I would also recommend maybe System Shock 2. But because it wouldn't be next week's episode,
Mm,
Hmm.
and it's not
that would give us
super
more
long either.
time.
Would I have to
Yeah, and
buy it?
also I mean, yeah, you
Is it
basically would
cheap?
have
Like,
to.
is it
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cheap.
all right?
But
Well,
we'll talk about that after
yeah,
we're done
we can
recording. Yeah,
reconvene. But
we'll reconvene on
yeah,
that.
I think we got to do the sign off. Do we have a sign off phrase yet?
Uh, no, I don't think so.
Jessica, why don't you hit us with a sign off phrase off the cuff?
This has been another episode of Delisted Podcast. We are delisted off of here. Peace.
I
All
like it.
right, peace,
Let's sign off on that.
peace.
Peace.
I don't have anything else. I don't know.
All right, peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Um, play Phantasmagoria if you want. It's fine.
Unless someone has a better outro, I'm all for it.